This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, to a time of the day in Africa where only the little scrub hares are out and about on the road. Seems like everybody else is a little bit quiet. We haven't been able to spot any other creatures other than this playful scrub hare that's been walking up and down the road. Oop, definitely decided that the road was long enough, and now it's gone back to the safety of the bush just to try and avoid, well, from pretty much any other predators that might be lurking around in the area. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is BK, and we're very happy to be taking everyone on another morning adventure out here in Juma Private Game Reserve in the western side of the Sabi Sand. Now, you can send us questions or comments using either the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or if you want to send us questions, at FC on the YouTube chat. And we would love to hear about you guys all throughout the drive, especially to see what we should go looking for this morning. I'm pretty much open to ideas. Not too sure what to go looking for. So I am now on Juma's main road, heading towards the gate to see if perhaps there's anything around there that might be interesting. Maybe something in the form of a lion. That would be pretty nice, considering we haven't seen lions in a while. And then, of course, later on, as it gets a little bit lighter, just purely so that I can see tracks, I'm gonna head onto that same area where Tristan had La Lamba yesterday, as it seems like she's been hanging around there for the last few days. He did mention that she was looking a little bit full, so we think that she's been catching herself food here and there. And then, well, of course, talking about the lovely leopards, there are officially photos of Hosanna and Londolozi, which makes me very happy and sad at the same time, because happy because we know he's there and he's fine, and, you know, he had a kill and everything. The little likes to arrive, you know, with a grand opening, not just, you know, a normal leopard that arrived there. He's showing them why he's got the reputation of such a beloved leopard as he does. And a little bit sad, well, because he's not around, but I suppose it's a risk. Hopefully, I have a feeling he's not going to stay there quite too long. Hopefully, a big male leopard will, you know, give him a bit of a fright, not harm him or anything, and then he'll come back running home and we'll be like, yes, we've been waiting for you. Welcome home. The prodigal child returns. So one can only dream. But it's a little bit drizzly this morning. Puma, you said you'd love to see Fang, who was at the dam camp. Oh, that's a nice thing. Maybe we can take a detour past there, see if maybe her herd has been or is sticking around there. I don't think I've ever seen Fang, funny enough. Every time that I've been driving around, she hasn't been seen. What are these tracks here on the side of the road? Sorry, guys, I just want to check what I'm looking at. It's a little bit tricky in the evenings, or well, not in the evenings, but in the dark with the spotlights. Oh, maybe Fang's herd was even around here. If you see in front of us on the road, again, just like the other morning, you can see big pieces of dung, really, there's no other way of calling it, and branches and other things that have been thrown on the main road. Cannot see too many tracks, but I'm sure that as we drive closer, then we'll see a few. And this is just typical elephant presence on the road during the night. Likely the little ones and the mothers were feeding on the trees on the side of the road. And elephants are not really like clean eaters. They leave a mess wherever it is that they go, so I'm sure that's why you can always find them. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to find a few of them, or perhaps elephants would be nice for the morning, I must say. I haven't spent too much time with elephants lately, and I think I actually dreamt about elephants last night, now that, you know, we mentioned them. But who knows? I'm just hope that the rain will hold, because if it doesn't hold, then it might make all the animals a little bit sleepier, and then might send them off to take shelter underneath the branches of the trees and just a bit of a thicker areas to keep a little bit warmer. Because, well, the animals, they only got their skin and their fur and their coats to ensure that they don't get too cold or that they don't hurt themselves. So they've got to do clever things, and they do clever things, like hiding where it's a little bit thicker or going into underneath a bush and so on. So I gotta give them credit for that, although sometimes that just makes it that much harder to be able to find them. Alright, seems like there's an impala herd just in front of us. I'm gonna switch off this light so that we don't bother them too much. And they're just on the side of the road. Let's have a look, see how impalas are at 5 o'clock. Micah, Crux or Scuba Steve sounds appropriate. I know Scuba Steve was last potentially seen around Buffelshoek Dam, which is one of the areas that we want to go search for when we get there to go search for Tlalamba as well. So definitely, we can definitely go have a look. Now, we've got a very sleepy breeding bachelor herd of impala over here. It's a bunch of youngsters, and they'll still be together for a few months before we get back into a very exciting time in the impala's life, which is the rutting season. Now, some of them might get lucky and might be able to get the opportunity to mate with a herd of females. Some of them might not be that lucky, as some of them look a little bit young. But the good thing is that they're all gonna at least try, or at least the ones, judging by their horn size, the ones over here. So you see, they've all come into an open area. The antelope, even zebras and wildebeest, they tend to retreat to open areas to sleep at night, because then it's going to be a little bit harder for a predator to try and surprise them overnight, because they can see further away, they can hear things coming. So it's a very clever strategy, because obviously they're very vulnerable once they go to sleep. Hi guys, you were awake before we got here. I'm going to start your day early. Early impala catches the grass. What a terrible joke. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I even scared the impala away. But yes, they'll start their... It's almost starting to be light, and then although we've got quite a big overcast, or a big clump of clouds on top of us, the animals tend to start their day very early, so just before the sun rises, and then they'll be active until runabout starts getting hot, about 9 o'clock in the morning, and they'll have either a feeding bout or they'll start ruminating in the case of the impala. And ruminating is that process whereby some of the antelope species that have got a rumen, this is where they get the name from, when they eat the grass and they swallow it, sometimes it's not been chewed finely enough for it to carry on passing through the rest of the animal's digestive system. So what will happen is that they'll regurgitate it, or pretty much bring it back up to their mouth, chew it a little bit longer, and then just swallow it again. Can you guys hear something? We can't. Impala, you're all looking in that direction. Don't think nothing to worry about just yet. Right, I'm gonna leave these boys to their morning routine. I'm sure they're all just starting to wake up, and then they'll start feeding, and if we were to come around in the next 20 to 10 minutes, I don't think we'll see them. Tori, a bush baby. Well, that would be pretty good. But for that, we need this handy tool, the spotlight. Actually, a chameleon wouldn't be too nice. And then, of course, there's always the added one of, please let there be a pangolin, or even a porcupine over here. I feel like if we saw a pangolin, we could just wrap the drive, go home. It wouldn't get any better after that. And if you're wondering what a pangolin is, well, it's a very beautiful endangered creature. It's a scaly mammal that looks very much like an artichoke the size of a soccer ball. That is the best way to explain it. They're actually nocturnal creatures, very elusive, very hard to see, particularly in certain areas. Although towards the desert, there are some reserves where it's somewhat easier. Not, easy is not a word that you can really use all the time with pangolin sightings, but it's just, there's a better chance, let's put it that way, of seeing them. They are nocturnal creatures, and they come out during the night, and they feed on termites. So it's not the easiest thing to see. And I think actually the last one I saw was last year in April. That was my first pangolin in the Sabi Sand. I had seen some before, but never in the Sabi Sand, which is very cool. And then of course there was a sighting that Tristan had, I think sometime in December, in the Mara, with the lions playing with the pangolin, which not too bad. And I do know that there was one in the Sabi Sand. Now we're bringing up all these sightings, making it sound like it's actually easy. I do know one of the Cheetah Plains guys posted a photo that I was incredibly shocked about, of a lioness, I think maybe in Nkahuma, if I remember correctly, eating a pangolin pup. That was heartbreaking. Especially, it's always hard when you see creatures or predators that are feeding on an endangered creature. You're like, no, but why? But it is a circle of life. It is a food opportunity for them, and it's not a deliberate wanting to harm that species or anything else. It's just an opportunity to feed, which is what happens out here in the wild. Now, what are your tracks down here? Let's just have a quick look. Nope, more antelope. Seems like a lot of impala had a party here last night. Lots of tracks up and down. Chameleons? Where are you guys? What is that over there? Let's see. Maybe just a scrub here? Because it was on the ground. I think it is a scrub here, running all the way around. Okay, so we've seen those ones before. And again this morning, so I'm going to pass on that one because it's not doing anything particularly special, and we are now on a pangolin, porcupine, bush baby mission. Chameleons too. Actually, I haven't seen too many chameleons this year, but it's a little bit better than last year. Last year I don't remember seeing any, to be honest. And it's funny because we've had a couple of rainy days, and of course the rainy season is well on its way, and we should have gotten more rain than what we got already, judging by just the general average of the season. But the bush is still looking very lush and green, and there's still the opportunity to get late rains. I mean, last year, which feels like yesterday, we had a lot of late rains in March. So March is always, I feel like, a good month to get a lot of rain. And like I said, there are some reports that the southern Savisan has gotten an immense amount of rain. Just up here, we don't seem to be getting as many. So it's interesting that even in a pretty much same ecozone, that we've got such a different weather and such different rain patterns. But who knows? For now, everything's looking nice and wonderful. The grass is looking a little bit drier than what it should. Perhaps we should be having more lush green grass in more spots, but nothing too bad just yet. We'll have to see how the rainy season plays out this year and then take it from there. I do think though that it's going to be another dry year or another very dry winter, but nothing like the winter of 2015-2016. That was by far the worst one that I've seen. There was never a release, because I'm sure you can feel like when the rains are coming, you always feel that the humidity and moisture in the air, and it builds up and it becomes really uncomfortable. I don't know if any of you live in areas where you get a lot of rain, but that's how it feels like here. So you'll get maybe 42 degrees Celsius. I think the average that summer must have been like 42 or 43 for the temperature. And then you get this high levels, like between 50 and 70% of humidity. And it's so uncomfortable. And then it would build up, and never rain. Oh, I was actually chatting to James about it the other day. You almost feel like your eyeballs start burning from the heat of the breeze. It was not a pleasant summer, let's put it that way. And then, of course, a lot of animals and a lot of creatures suffered from it. I think in the Kruger Park, it was estimated that about 20% of the buffalo and hippo population died because of lack of food, lack of palatable pastures. A lot of the rivers dried out, but because we have so many artificial water holes, a lot of the creatures tend to move to and from there. So the problem was not so much that there wasn't any water for them to drink, it's just that there wasn't any food or any palatable food. So buffaloes even they feed mainly on grass, and then they started eating leaves of the trees, and then they don't tolerate the tannins, which are the substances that the trees put out to protect themselves all that well. So they lost condition quite quickly. Let's see what these tracks here are. No. Nothing around here. I'm going to carry on looking for a bush baby, a porcupine, and a pangolin. Hopefully they will all come in 3-for-1 package. But while I do that, we're going to send you guys across to Isaac, all the way in the Masai Mara.
A very good morning, everybody, and welcome to the beautiful Masai Mara. It is still quite dark here, but look what I have in front of me. It's not always you wake up and start driving and you have a hyena in front of you. With me is Archie on camera, and I am Isaac Rotich. Welcome to this morning's game drive. Yes, this guy looks like he's leading me somewhere. This is the spotted hyena, a very common predator here in the Masai Mara. I hope you had a good night's sleep, like I did. Or I don't know what time it is where you are, but I did have a good time, a good night's sleep. We are ready to take you on this morning's game drive, hoping to find as many animals as possible for you. This guy, either he's heading somewhere where there is food or maybe back to his den. He's turned to the right, and maybe Archie will share with him a little bit, and then we're gonna leave him to go his own way. He's headed down that direction. Yeah, you can see him, he's walking down there. Yeah, he's quite a distance, we can see him very well. Maybe he belongs to the North Clan, which is a clan of hyenas that we do follow. We haven't seen them for quite a while, and we think their den is somewhere down that way. Yeah. He's strolling, he loves the tracks. They're much easier to walk on because there is less grass. And yeah, hyenas spend a lot of time sleeping, up to around 10 to 16 hours when they have eaten. If not, they are very active. So they do spend quite a lot of time, you know, sleeping once they have eaten. Yeah. Well, sorry, but I didn't hear, that question was from who? But yes, I did hear how much time do hyenas spend sleeping. Maybe, yeah, next time out, it would be nice to have the name. Well, it's still quite dark, quite beautiful. My mission this morning is to take you to, we're heading towards where the Sausage Tree Pride, which is one of our favorite prides that we follow around. We found them yesterday. They had a buffalo kill, and all the females plus the males were there. I'm hoping to see the new cubs. They are very small, from one of the oldest females. We call her Kinky Tail. I'm hoping to see them, and that's where my mission is this morning. It's another maybe 40 minutes towards there, but I'll be getting there. It's quite nice. The weather over here, it's around 17 degrees Celsius, maybe around 68 Fahrenheit. Quite smooth, not cold, not hot, just perfect. And it's a beautiful morning to wake up to. A bit cloudy. Back at camp, we did have a little bit of rain, but over here looks like it is just perfect. I hope it stays like this for the rest of the morning. Usually, I do come across a few animals on the road, but this morning there hasn't been very far. Barbara, you asked any chance of seeing hyenas with cubs? Maybe later on we might be able, because I'll be heading back towards one of the clans passing by there. So hopefully we'll be able to show you before the end of the show. But right now I'm on Mission Lion. Lots of droppings, I was just about to mention that. Looks like there was a lot of elephants on the track here. Elephants are very smart animals, and they will know that during the night there's less vehicles, so they come and spend a little bit of time on the roads. For some reason they just love the roads. I think if you lived here in the long grass, you would also love, you know, the road, because it's easier to walk on, and also you don't get as wet. I'm hoping to find some on the road, but because in the last few weeks we've been seeing quite a lot on the tracks walking, but I haven't seen some in the last 2 days, so I'm dying to see some. Usually sometimes to see an elephant just in front of you, you don't have to go looking for it, you know, way out in the open. Chrissy, you say is it Lucy or Chrissy? You say you'd like to see some zebra? Well, I'd love to show you some zebra before the end of the show also. We'll be driving around, hopefully we can come across some zebra. It's a bit overcast, so I don't know how the sunrise is going to be today. I'm always looking out for the beautiful sunrises in the Mara. But it's a bit overcast this morning. Hopefully, it will clear before the sunrise, and so we can share it with you, those fantastic sunrises of the Mara. Here's my last turn off, and I have another few kilometers just to get to our lions. I know they're not very far from where they were seen yesterday by David, because they had a kill and they have cubs. So I'm gonna start there. Maybe in between we might be able to find something for you. The area I am in over here, we do find the other pride of lions called the Owinos, and they were quite desperate yesterday looking for something. I hope they got something. Yeah, yesterday afternoon they were also seen. They hadn't gotten something, but maybe the night was the right time for them to get something. So maybe they got something in the night, and they were around to my left over here somewhere. I don't know if you can hear me, Murray. It's really breaking up. I cannot hear you quite well, but I did hear if animals stop ruminating while being chased by predators. Definitely, I would say yes, because I think all concentration is taken all the way to the brain, so everything has to stop ruminating. Definitely, they do stop so that they can get away from predators, and then soon after they go back to ruminating. You know, ruminating is an activity that is done when they're still, and so definitely they have to stop. Well, it's clearing. I can see some trees quite a distance. It's gonna look beautiful. Well, this long grass, it stops you from seeing very much. Sorry, Paula, I did hear you. I had the name, but I couldn't hear the question. Could you repeat, please? It's really breaking up. I think it's the clouds that are stopping us from communicating really well, but I would really love to answer your question. Paula, are you asking something about antelope crossing the road? Well, they do cross whenever they can. It would also be lovely to see them cross at this time, because headlights are my only way of seeing quite well right now. It's quite dark either sides of the road, unless I use my spotlight. So you guys see them cross the road. Quite clearing quite fast, which is good for me. I can see farther. Although I love, getting up early in the morning, I also love the light, so I can be able to see as far, because I'm sure I have driven past a lot of animals getting here. Maybe even some very interesting ones that I'm supposed to have shown you. But at least I know there's something that I would really love to share with you this morning. Yeah, lots of elephant droppings on the road. Yeah, while I continue heading down towards where I'm heading, let me take you down to Ale for an update down in Duma, and see you down the road.
We haven't really come across too many creatures. It seems like the wind's picked up a little bit, and so has the drizzle, becoming into just, a harder drizzle. Still not quite raining, which I'm happy about, because I'm not particular fan of driving around in the rain. We came onto close to Gari Triple M actually, just in hopes of Shidulu. I keep calling her Hukudulu, I probably shouldn't. For Shidulu and her fluff cubs. I'm sure it's just a matter of time before they get big enough for her to start moving them around further and further. So I just, gotta put your wishes out there. Hopefully we'll be able to see her, and I'm sure at some point she will. She seems to. Tristan made an interesting comment the other day. It's almost like she's gone through the motions and she's used some of the same dens as Shadow used to use when she had her cubs and when she was around. I don't know if that is a dike. It is a diker. So I know Shadow used to love, in particularly in, I want to say 2017, we saw her a lot around this road and around this area with Not Barbara. So hopefully Shidulu will also come into this particular spot. It seems to be a bit of an empty gap in terms of leopard movements, and it's the area that she sort of claimed, whereas Tundi seems to have concentrated a little bit more onto the eastern side of Juma and the western side of Torchwood. So who knows? It's interesting how everything just shifts, and it's a constant dynamic pattern of things moving around and never being the same. But I was hoping that she was going to be here, maybe sitting on top of a termite mound with two little cubbies. Oh, that would have been so sweet, with the two little ones, all fluffed up because they're cold. Would have been so sweet. Anyway, if they're not around here, maybe we'll find them at another spot or somewhere else. The Nkahumas would have also been nice. Don't know where they have been. Seems like the Avokas, though, have been spending their time in Buffelshoek with the Talamati Pride, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, and talking about animal updates, Tristan casually mentioned yesterday, Jamie was not too impressed, that apparently he did receive confirmation that there's an active hyena den on Little Gowrie. Now, that might be the one that we've been looking for, but to add to the puzzle, they are saying that they've only seen one little cub in there, so it's a bit of a tricky one. Maybe there's another one anywhere around, or somewhere around here. So I guess only time will tell. As we carry on driving or looking for things, maybe we'll be able to find it. As I do miss having a hyena den around. They're potentially one of the funnest things to do when out on drive and when the small ones are around. They're so vocal and just so so naughty. Alrighty. Which road should we take, BK? Right or left? Right. Alright, let's go to the right. To the right. We're going to carry on looking for anything that might be alive, but we're going to send you guys across to James Henry himself. See how he's enjoying the weather on foot.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the bushwalk on this somewhat subdued, slightly grey morning. My name is James Henry. I'm wearing my celebratory shorts this morning. I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure that Thursday's ever a time for celebration, but here we find ourselves on walk together. Now, please do talk to us, of course, in the same way that you've been talking to Isaac and to Ali using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream. Now, we're sitting here in amongst a, field of interesting little plants, all of which are, very pretty and give one the sense of verdant summer. David Easter is on camera this morning. Hello. And that's him saying hello. Let's go through what we're sitting next to. We've got some signal grass here, a Eurocloa species, possibly Mozambiquense. You can see the male parts of the flower of the plant, just hanging there in the southeast breeze that has brought a little bit of rain with it. We've got the wild sesame or winged sesame plant over here, all closed. Still waiting for the sun. I fear me they'll wait quite a long time today. We've got the cat's tail grass over here. Perotus patens. It's also quite a nice name. Some of the grass have got some nice names to say. Perotus patens. A subtly green bottle brush type of thing. There we are there. Then we've got the chaff flower. As far as I remember, the chaff flower, whose botanical name I have failed to remember. It has too many letters in it for my small brain. And that also makes very subtle pink emergences. So although it just looks like a bit of white here, each little tip of white actually has a bit of pink on it. So that's what you can see here, and that's what I'm sitting in amongst. The desire to lie down on my back and just sort of allow the day to pass over the top of me in this field of fertility is very strong, I must say. We have one more grass to show you, and that, of course, is the Schmittia species over here. There we go. Right. Not a lot going on sound-wise this morning because of the inclemency of the weather, but I'm hoping that it will brighten up slightly during the course of the day. That would be very pleasant indeed. Nelly, you want to know if we have bats in Africa? Nelly, yes, there are many, many bats in Africa. We, of course, are in a very small portion of Africa, and remember that Africa is far more diverse, for example, than the United States of America, because it is 3 times the size. And so, yes, we most certainly do have bats in Africa, but it depends on which part of Africa you're in, if you want to describe which kind of bats we have. Over here, we probably have about 20 species of bat. Very difficult to describe or to discern one species from the other because they look so similar, and sometimes the only way you can do it is to open their mouths and count the palate ridges. Now, obviously, catching a bat is one thing, opening its mouth and counting its palate ridges without getting rabies at the same time is very difficult. And so, well, I couldn't actually tell you what kinds of bats we have here, but I do know that we have a lot of them. I'm not entirely sure what our plan's going to be today. I depressingly saw a photograph posted by no less than the Londolozi, what would we call him, probably managing director at the moment, a chap called Chris Kane-Berman on Instagram, if you go and check him out. And you'll recognize the leopard that he posted the other day. I quickly sent him a message saying, send our leopard back. It is, of course, a wonderful picture of Hosanna. So that's a little bit distressing because he's clearly moved down south onto the Sand River once more. He went there before his first little dispersal, and then I remember he came back and Steve found him not far from where Tlalumba's been hanging out. And, well, let's hope that he'll come back, but I fear me we may have seen the last of him. He may be dispersing permanently now, and that, I'm sure, for all of you is a depressing thought. Many of you will now be lying on the floor wailing and possibly putting ash on your heads and, well, what is it? Sackcloth, dressing yourselves in sackcloth. Paula, local grasses for flower. It's actually a really interesting question you've asked, and it has... I mean, we could sit and talk about it for hours. I don't think we should, given the inclemency of the weather, but we could. There are very few grasses that can be used for flower in Africa. One of them is something in Ethiopia called Eragrostis teff, that is still used to this day. Sorghum is another one that can be used and is found in parts of southern Africa. Millet is another. But none of them have got the size of seed that wheat does, or rice, or maize, or what are the other big ones? Barley. Those plants, which originally well, maize comes from Mexico, but wheat and barley come from the Middle East. And it's one of the reasons, actually, that Africa has been so, until fairly recently, sparsely populated. Now, a lot of people tend to think of Africa as being a hugely overpopulated place in many respects, but compared with most other parts of the world, it's actually fairly sparsely populated, and one of the reasons for that is the lack of domesticatable plant species. And the domesticatable plant species that are useful for human consumption are those grasses that have enormous seeds, and wheat, the precursors of wheat and barley are 2 great examples of those, and there are almost none that occur in Africa. Yes, people do use teff, but the amount of teff that you have to grow in order to make a handful of flour would be exponentially higher than that you had to do for wheat or for barley or something like that. So, very interesting question, and I mean, you can read a lot about domesticated plant and animal species and their effects on human development and their effects on human population distributions. It's a very interesting question. All right, good. I was sort of wandering aimlessly off towards the west here. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue doing that. We shall consult with Rexon in a little while and decide if there isn't perhaps a better place to go. I'm looking in the hole to see if there's a mamba inside. Mamba! No, you'll be pleased to know I don't see any mumbas in there, David. What a relief. Good. Come on then. On we go. Can you hear the crickets? I can hear a lot of crickets going. And if you look down over there, you can see where the weather is starting to rather close in on us. I'll be surprised if we don't end up in a car or a vehicle by the end of this drive. Righty, on we go. You getting any comms there, David? No, me neither. Alright, we're going to make a decision on where we're going to go while you go across to Ali, who is valiantly still on the search.
Well, it seems like not too much happening around Trias Dam. No hippos, just the old two good Egyptian geese down there, just hanging around. But other than that, it's been pretty quiet on the animal front. I think it's starting to rain a little bit harder now, so that's perhaps the reason why. I have hope that as the sun starts coming up, this is going to stop very soon. And then we'll get some nice bright, well, I don't know if super bright sunshine today is the right thing to expect, but hopefully a little bit better than what we're having now. So we'll see what happens. We're gonna go check Twin Dams, and now that we can actually see the tracks on the road, then I'm also gonna start heading towards close to the Juma Dam or the Gauri Dam, see if perhaps Spang is anywhere around to be found, and then also make our way all the way up to Bufosuk Dam and Guaripan to see if Tlalamba is still there, because I reckon it's gonna go two ways with her. Either she's gonna be very sleepy in this kind of weather, or she's gonna be hilarious and a super funny cat and have the crazies again. Which, I mean, already we were discussing that she's almost like a naughtier version of Hosanna. She's very fun to watch. I think she's a cool little kitty, that one. All right, let's see. Ooh. Kathy, the size of a male leopard's territory, it varies. It depends on a bunch of different things. It depends on the area where it's in. So you'll have, perhaps in areas like the Sabi Sand, you'll have more leopards densely packed together. And then, so the male leopards will only compete for a territory with another male leopard, and the females with females. But they can, so a male's territory can be over a few females' different territory. And then a female's territory can comprise the territory of a few different males. So in areas like the desert, for example, where there are fewer resources in the form of water and food and so on, then the animals will have bigger, much bigger territories, because they've got to walk further to be able to actually find food. I think it was on this road, I don't remember. We were talking about yesterday about a new tree that I learned thanks to Toli and Trishala, and I think it's actually coming around in this corner. So let me just have a look and then see if it's actually in there, because I was very excited to learn a new tree. And we actually, even when you also was going on that bumble with James, we learned a new plant species there as well, because there was a little thing that we had never ever seen before. It was I could have sworn it was here. Maybe it was not. I thought the sneezewood was here, but I cannot see it anymore, and it's quite an obvious one, so maybe it was in this corner, and I'm going crazy. Lost my train of thought with whatever it is that I was saying before. The sneezewood, nope, it's gone. Completely gone from my brain. Sorry, everyone. What was it? Makeup Girl, I would love to see Hosanna, but he's all the way in Landalozi, which is another reserve to the south of us where we have no access to. So for now, unfortunately, we won't be able to see him unless we go to Landalozi as guests. So But who knows? Hosanna did go last year and ventured into Londolozi for a few months, and then he came back, so hopefully he'll come back up this side. There are some photos that were posted yesterday on social media of Hosanna back in Londolozi, and I think the guys there are enjoying a few sightings of him, so I mean, can't really be mad at them for having Hosanna. But no, hopefully it's Lalamba this morning. I think she's a leopard that we might be able to see. Not too sure where Tingana went. I do know that he had a good meal and that his stomach was looking quite big, but that the hyenas also managed to kill a lot of, or not to kill, but to steal a lot of that particular kill. And I wonder if he's not there in Ingoyali somewhere, because Tingana, when he wants to also, he can be such a sneaky leopard. And he'll just hang around and you'll never know. I'm upset about this Sneezewood now. Don't know where this tree was. I missed it. I'm sorry, we'll have to go find it again. Now I'm heading towards Twin Dam, see what else is happening down there. Who knows, maybe there will be something. And then if that fails, then we're gonna head all the way up to Buffelshoek Dam, see what's happening up there. Hopefully we'll get lucky with some creatures. You never know. I'm open for anything. Lions, leopards. What else could we want to see? Pangolins, of course, always. Elephants would be very nice. Buffalo would be actually interesting because I haven't seen a buffalo in quite a long time. So buffalo is always a good thing. Ooh. Melinda, yes, there are male leopards where Hosanna is now, so he's just gonna have to be very careful and as to where he goes and what areas he goes into, because there are male leopards down there that are territorial and won't be too happy to have him there. It was the same situation that Tamba had. He also went through to Londolozi, Singita, and I think he's down at Leopard Hills now, somewhere down there, if I'm not mistaken. He's gone, I think, all the way to the western side of the Sabitan, what is referred to the west. And Hosanna might just follow the same patterns, looking for those empty gaps of territory of male leopards that are absent, and just have to be. He is a big boy and he's grown up quite a lot, but he's still gonna have to be careful because perhaps he doesn't have that experience just yet of, you know, being able to fight off and bigger males. But if that fails, I mean, he can always come home. Like, we won't judge him. We would love to have him back home. But yeah, there will be males and females, and I reckon he's somewhat of a more sociable leopard, but I don't think leopards that don't know him will be sociable to him whatsoever. But we'll see. Hopefully, he's a clever boy. I'm sure he'll be able to stick himself out of trouble. Okay, I think we're gonna have to face the rain, perhaps even put the flaps down. But while we do that, let's go to Isaac, who I believe is in search also of a spotted creature.
Okay, here I am at where I was supposed to be, looking for the Sausage Tree Pride. In case you didn't join me earlier, my aim was to come and see the Sausage Tree Pride. I'm already on their territory. Sausage Tree Pride is a pride that we do follow, and yesterday morning and afternoon they were on a buffalo kill, not very far from here. So I am here on a mission to see if they're still on the kill, or if they finished it and they are around. So anything is possible right now anywhere around this area, and I'm looking forward to finding a surprise. But remember, they are wild animals. I might expect to see them. Ravinda, could you repeat the question from Ravinda, please? I had dry only. If you could repeat the question, please. Why does the soul look dry? Actually don't understand at all. Yes, but I understand dry, and your name and the rest I don't. Yeah, well, this is where the lions were, and they are not there. Like I said, they are wild animals, and anything is possible. They might be there, they might not be there. I'm already here, and I can't see them. So the search is on now for them. I don't know if I'll be able to find them for you. So it is my duty now to look for them around this area, and that's why I'm using my binoculars, trying to locate them. They could be hidden somewhere in the long grass. The grass is very high. so they can be anywhere. I remember it's a big pride of lions, so I'm gonna be looking around here, and one of them might decide to come up, which is gonna be a good sign for me to see them, or that's the only way for me to see them. I'm still not allowed to drive everywhere, so unless I see something, it's when I'm gonna drive off-road, try and find them. But this is the area where they were last seen yesterday. And sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I feel lucky this morning, so I'm looking forward to finding them for you. Let's stop and have a look once more. This is the only way of finding animals. Elizabeth, you asked me why I start the drive while it's still dark. Well, it's quite a distance from camp to here, and I have to cover that to get to here. And also, it's always nice to get where they are. Lions and most cats are very active in the morning, so it is the best time to catch them when they're moving, when they're eating, when they're hunting. It's the best time to catch them, because once it warms up, once the sun comes up, then they'll, try and find cover to hide themselves if they haven't eaten, and that's why we start so early, Elizabeth. Yes, it looks like they're all there. I've seen them quite a distance. So I'm gonna head there. I see a couple of males and some females, so I'm gonna find a way of getting there. It's a very long grass, and it's full of warthogs holes, aardvark, and hyena holes. So you have to choose the right spot. You don't want to get stuck here. You don't want to drive into a ditch. Although I do have a four-wheel drive vehicle and a winch in front, I still wouldn't want to start working out very early this morning. It doesn't mean that I hate working out. I love working out. Yeah, so I'm gonna just find a spot to turn here and then head straight towards where they are. They're quite a distance away to my left. You see, Elizabeth, starting early is quite promising because, they're out in the open. If I come out later on, I might find them in the bushes, which is not ideal. And also, I think you woke up so you could see something. Well, it's very beautiful. The sun is just about to rise. The temperatures are perfect. I can't ask for anything more. Yes, so while I get you there, let me link you to James, who's on foot with some impala.
Well, we have our first mammal of the day. A little herd of impala sitting in the thickets, looking particularly terrified by life. I imagine it must be very difficult going through life as an impala. Life is very difficult, very terrifying. And there they're now relaxing a little bit. While they don't want to be too close to us, they don't see us as a threat standing where we are. We're not behaving like predators. We're not hiding behind the bushes. We're standing out in the open looking at them. Now, stress in animals, I think, is quite interesting. We think of ourselves as having particularly stressful lives, and we do. We have much more chronically stressful lives than any of the animals out here. The stress that the impala copes with, it was designed to cope with. It doesn't enforce stress on itself like we do. But at the same time, its acute stress is profound just about all the time. So it will have shots of adrenaline, or epinephrine as you call it in the States, coursing through its body on a regular basis every time it hears a little noise or rustle or smells the fur of a dog or a cat, or it sees the upright posture of a human being. There'll be a little stress response. The adrenal gland will go pew, and they'll be primed and ready to run and jump. So I think that their acute stress response is probably a lot faster than ours. Child of the universe, those impala are not running away from us because we're not close enough to make them run away. So we are outside, or they are outside of the flight distance. So they're standing and watching. Were we to close this gap, I would say another 5 or 10 meters, which is about 15 to 30 feet, I think you'll find that they almost certainly would run away from us. I don't think that they would stay there. Yeah, I'm fairly sure that we're going to have to go back to camp now, I'm afraid, and pick up a vehicle because the rain is starting to fall and David's camera is starting to get wet, I'm afraid. It's such a lovely morning, though. It's funny, normally when it's rainy I find it very offensive out here. You know, it's better to be inside with a cup of coffee. But it's very warm and this drizzle is very soft. David, do we need to cover that thing up? Murray, we're going to have to link away from here. We're going to have to cover this camera up because it's becoming very wet, I'm afraid. I'm going to hail the others. Oi! All right, let's go back to Isaac, who has managed to find himself something actually very worthwhile.
Okay, just repositioning here, but all is happening here. I have the sausage tree pride, and they are on a buffalo that they killed about maybe a day and a half, and they are very busy enjoying it, and shortly you will see them. They're right here. There's quite a good number of them. I'm sure you can see them now. Yeah, there is one in front of me. That's a big male, one of the Oldonyo Payak males. And the rest are to our left. And here they are, still feasting. Lions can never get enough if they haven't been eating. And this male is taking full advantage of this kill. Now it's not actually a kill, it's a carcass now because it has been here for more than 50 hours. So it is a carcass now. You can tell how much they've cleaned it. Yeah, all that is remaining is the tendons that join the ribs. Like you can see there, this is a buffalo, and a buffalo has got very wide ribs. I think there is something to do with either fighting, it protects their internal organs, because, you know, they're quite wide, unlike, you know, other you know, ribs from other animals. Very wide. And these guys are trying to get as much as possible. Yes, we might be able to see them quite soon. And I can see a female quite a long way down on a termite mound. I don't know where, you know, if she's got the cubs. And then there is a young male coming. You see that? This is a young male, and he doesn't belong to the sausage tree pride. I've never seen him in this pride, and let's see what is going to happen. Things might get very interesting in the next few minutes over here, because this guy, I don't know where he is from, and I don't know if he's going to be welcome. I don't know if he's going to be tolerated. It's just tense for me now, because I don't know what he's getting himself into. Young males like this are not tolerated by fully grown males, especially if they are not their fathers. And if they are also their fathers, they are too big, they're almost competitors. So they have to be cautious. You can tell he knows this is not, the usual place where he walks casually. And I think he knows what he's getting himself into. Well, if he was part of this pride, he would come straight here and start feeding. This is maybe a nomadic young male who just came from another pride, maybe either from Mogoro Pride in Serena, or the Owinos, or maybe another pride from northern Serengeti, because we're not very far. And he has been having problems feeding, so he had these, lions, growling and fighting over this kill during the night, and he decided to move in. He's being very cautious, but you can tell he's got those eyes like, would you just welcome me, please? Haven't eaten for a week or so. MGN, you ask, if we could see a lion fight. It's inevitable over here. It might happen, because you can tell that guy doesn't belong here. I haven't seen him, and I don't know if he's going to be very welcome. He might get, given a few slaps before he's welcome. But, just wait there. Let's wait and see. Yeah, you can tell, usually this is the behavior they portray. They'll stop. It's like to be submissive. It's like to beg, can I move in? And then, he'll inch in another few meters, and then eventually he'll come into the kill. But when these males are around, he might not be welcome, and that's when, we might see a fight. But who am I to say anything? Let's wait and see. Yes. Further down the road, all the way, a very long way down, I don't know, Archie, if you can see, there was a female, you see, with the cubs on a termite mound. Do you see her? Yes, if you zoom in a long way, yeah, there she is. Yeah, with a few cubs. Yeah, there she is. That's one female with the cubs. I don't know if the small ones are there. I will have to take you there once I know what is happening with this young male, if he's welcome or not. But this is an area to stick for in the next few minutes, so that we know exactly what's happening. I would really like actually to know exactly what's happening, but I'll take you down to those cubs. That looks like either it is Mitty and her maybe cousins, the older cubs. Here I have 3 females. So that could be Mitty with the younger ones. I don't know which females are here. We do have 5 females in the Sausage Tree Pride, and the oldest one is called Kinky Tail, who is the mother of the 4 females. And I think the females are here to my left. They are the ones feeding with one of the big males. Trish, you ask if the male would hurt his cubs. No, he will not. He will not hurt his cubs. He will try and actually be very welcoming. So unless they belong to another male and he feels like, they don't belong to him, then he will hurt them. But that is when a male takes over a pride. When a new male comes in, usually meaning maybe the male existing has died or he's been overthrown by the new males, if he moves in and finds cubs that are less than 6 months old, which means they are lactating, then he'll try and get rid of them so the females can come back into season much sooner. Oh, there comes a jackal. This is a silver-backed or the black-backed jackal. These small predators are so brave, you cannot believe that, they would come towards, lions like this. And actually, I have seen them come so close to a lion and bite the lion's tail. It's like, hey, I'm here. What do you have for me? But you can tell he's very wary. He's very careful, If the lions get him, they might injure him. They might kill him, and it's not just to kill, to eat him, but to reduce competition. They want to have all the food for themselves. Also, we have vulture. Yeah, that's one, the first one of the day. Yeah, so everybody's waking up now. Yeah, yes, very. Yeah, you can see the lioness doesn't want anything to do with the jackal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very brave. And now he's taken that little bit of skin. He doesn't want the jackal to take it. Yeah, the male is, still eating. I don't know if it's the same one that was eating last night. Look, yeah. Yes, if they are still feeding here, if the young male approaches here, I don't think he's going to be very welcome. And I can see one of the male is very focused on him now. You can tell that he's turned around and he's noticed the little guy and he's like, hey, who are you? He's turning to really take good look, of the young guy. Who are you? It's like, really? You dare get this close? Yeah, sometimes it's very interesting, to read lion behavior. I wish I could understand, more of exactly what's going through his mind right now. But definitely the reaction, according to my experience, is he's not very sure why this guy is here. And he just, he's thinking of, the next move. This is a fully grown lion. And the reason I say that, you can tell that he's got a very beautiful mane and it extends all the way to the back. You see that? Okay, everybody, welcome to the beautiful Masai Mara. I am here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle. My name is Isaac Rotich, and on camera is Achi. Something very interesting is just about to happen, so let's take you down there immediately. Over here, I have one of the Oldonyo Paek limping male, and he's just stood up because he's noticed this young male who doesn't belong to this pride, and so he's headed there. I'm sure if he had a better leg, for running, he would have been already where that, young male is. You see the reaction of the young male. He's being submissive. He's opening his mouth. Even this guy has gotten even more confidence. He's putting his, foot that wasn't well, on the ground now. Let's watch and see. Okay, guys. Yeah, now the other male has gotten up. Yeah, things might get rough for this young guy. The other male just noticed that there wasn't a growl that he's welcome to this pride, and he's headed there. I don't know what's gonna happen to this young guy. If it was me, I'll be up on my 4 feet and out of this area as fast as possible because, yeah, the other male is getting there. Yeah, get out. Yeah, we have chased him quite a distance, a long way down, and that 100% tells me he doesn't. Adrian, there's nothing like watching nature. That is very true. And this is the best it gets. Remember, this is all life. That male that was better with 4 legs, you know, he's not injured. He's still going for that young male. I don't know if the young male is gonna... Yes, he's still going. He's still going for that young guy. I don't know if he's gonna get to where the guy is. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go down there because he's running once more. Okay, just stay there because things are getting very interesting here. I told you that one male doesn't belong to this pride. In this pride, there's 2 males, and this young male just appeared from last night. I've never seen him, and that's why I said, you know, he's going to be in trouble. He's done the best that anybody could do. He's gone. I want you to hear that. That's a lion roaring. There is nothing like a lion roar, and that tells me he is so angry. He's the guy with the bad leg. He wishes he had a better leg and he would have ran towards his brother who's going after that young male. I don't know how far they've gone. Let me try and, you know, go down a little bit. Kathy, it is a wonderful sound, but, you know, that is full of anger and rage. Let's see if we can see what's happening with that young male. But he was such a brave guy, you know. I wouldn't think even dare come close to such a pride of lions with 2 big males like that. I wouldn't even think. But, you know, I think he's starving and he wants to get a share of that carcass. And that's why, you know, he was forced. Maybe he thought there was no males. And then all of a sudden he realized they're there. Because if it was females, he would have gone straight to, you know, towards the kill and started feeding. I don't know how far they've gone. They've ran that way. So it will take me a bit of a distance here to see exactly how far they've gone. Koki, I did hear something about approaching the lion, but I didn't hear the rest. Well, it's very rocky and I cannot get past here, so I'm just gonna look. Courtney, you ask, you know, how is the lion threatening the rest of the pride? Well, he's a young male who's gonna get big in the next about 2 years. If they welcome him, he might get too big and actually oust the existing male. That's what they think. And so they have to get rid of him. But he is actually, according to me and you, he's not a threat. But to them, he is a threat. Everything that's here should belong to those 2 males and all the girls, all the food. So anybody, any other male coming in, it will be a totally different story. They've run that way, and we cannot get there. And I cannot hear any roaring. I cannot hear any noises. So maybe the young guy has managed to get away from the 2 big guys. But over here, we have 2 of Limpy's older cubs. And one of them is looking towards where those 2 ran. And I'm sure he's thinking, why is Daddy chasing that guy? I think he still have to learn, you know, that things are very hard. Things are very different when you're a lion. Yeah, those are 2 of the older. Yes. Yeah, this guy is just wondering exactly what's happening. But they are so healthy, so beautiful. Well, you know, that was rather quite, you know, heart-racing. Thank you for joining me, and see you shortly. welcome back, everyone. And here we have the two still, the older cubs of the sausage tree pride. They are still there wondering exactly what's happening. And their mom, I think, is way back there walking in the long grass. You see her? She's very camouflaged. She's walking in the long grass there. Yeah, this is how difficult it is. Oh, that's Kinky Tail. You see the tail? Yes, that is Kinky Tail. That's really cool. She is the oldest female of the sausage tree pride. You see her ears in the long grass? That's how difficult it is to spot these animals in this long grass. Yeah, the rest are over here somewhere. Yeah, there they are. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing there. Maybe there's a drink. They're going to drink. Maybe they're going to drink, or they're following the scent of their mom. They didn't see the mom or the grandma from the long grass. Those are the three older cubs. Two of them are about 6 months and one is about 5. And you can tell they are following the scent. Very, very healthy looking, you see. Yeah, these are very healthy looking cubs. The future looks very bright. Yeah, they're all heading towards where their mom headed. So they've gone up there. I don't know how easy it is to get there, but maybe I'll get back towards those ones that are feeding, and then later on we'll try and get there when I think I can go around the other side. But now let me get you back to where the others are feeding. Well, that was rather quite interesting. This is why I get up very early, because you don't know what you might find. That was a very interesting interaction with the lions. I definitely didn't know that young guy. I've never seen him. And this is why it's so interesting. You get up and you find new things. You know, nature is so amazing, you know. Every time there's something new. I never thought anybody would dare come, close to these two males and their females, because I know they are a superpower and a power to reckon. They are very strong, very aggressive, and that guy had no chance. He's so, lucky that he left. He took off, because if he stood his ground, he would have been killed. Yeah, I can smell the dead buffalo now, so now it's not longer a kill, it's a carcass. It is smelling now from where I am. FC, can you hear me? I can't hear anybody. Yes, here I am again, back with the Do lions shed their fur like dogs? No, they don't. They don't at all. They don't shed their fur. And here back we are, back with the one male. This is the one with the bad leg, the one that noticed that young male, but he couldn't run. And so he came back to continue eating while his brother took off after the young male. I don't know if you can hear the crunching of the skin and bone. Being injured like this, he'll take full advantage of the meal as much as possible, because he doesn't know how far he's going to walk for the next meal. He doesn't know when it's going to come. And if there is something, he'll try and utilize it as much as possible. And those two girls also are doing the same. Actually now I can tell they're eating skin, which I think takes longer to digest, so they'll be fuller for longer. The tongue of a lion is so rough, it's like sandpaper number 8. If you've ever handled sandpaper, multiply it like 8 times, that's how rough it is. And if it was to lick a human skin, I think it might peel it off. It is very rough. And they do sometimes lick the carcass to try and line it. Yeah. This guy has been eating mostly since I arrived here. Yeah, let me change, the site and take you down to Juma, where James is back on a vehicle. I don't know what he's up to.
Hello everybody, I'm on the vehicle now. As you can see, I've got my bright red rain jacket on, and because it is raining. Now, it's very exciting what's going on there in the Masai Mara, and I wondered if that approaching male, about obviously I have heard on the radio, but I have not seen, I wonder if he isn't one of the youngsters who was originally from the Pride, and I'm sure some of you will be able to tell us that, because that would be fascinating to know. I'm just covering things up here, because there is a little bit of precipitation. It stopped almost immediately after I said we were going to go off air last time, but then it started again, and so we decided we'd better come and get on a car for the remainder of the drive, which I think was a good call in the end. We have our roof on. We're relatively dryish, I suppose. Well, David is in the back, I'm not. So nice for David. I must excuse the colour of my jacket. There's nothing I can do about it. It's impossible to find anything waterproof in this country. You can find green jackets aplenty. None of them are vaguely even water resistant, despite what their labels might claim. And in a country like ours, where it's seldom very cold and seldom very rainy for any length of time, we suffer from amnesia. We forget entirely when the rain stops that it in fact rains. We forget entirely at the end of winter that it gets cold here. With the consequence that if you go to a place like Johannesburg, for example, you'll find the houses are basically equipped for the tropics. And I know people who have lived in Sweden and in Britain and who've come to Johannesburg for the winter and never been colder, because we are so appallingly equipped for it. You cannot buy a pure wool jersey. You can only buy sort of cotton blend polyester, which is, well, about as warm as your skin, really. There is no heating in any of the houses. There's no double glazing of any sort. And so, really, we have total amnesia because we have such magnificent weather most of the time. Anyway, the long sort of point of that rant is that that's why I've got a bright red jacket on, because I couldn't find a green one that was waterproof. Apologise about that. This is not the kind of bush colour you're expecting. You know, when you sign up for this job, everyone says, well, you must dress in bush clothing, which generally means inescapably boring khaki. Now, we're on this road called Power Lines, and it's very interestingly called Power Lines because there is a power line above it. The reason we're on it is that we had some tracks of a male leopard who Wrexham thought was hokomori. And we're just seeing if we can't pick up a few more tracks, because this would be the western edge of his territory over here. Dory, you're wondering where my white armband is? I'll show you if you like. It's over here, in my walking bag. But because I am now on drive and not bushwalk any longer, I don't have to wear my white armband. I did actually forget to put it on today. It's quite lucky I wasn't shot dead on stepping out of the camp. Phew. David, did you have yours on? So we both could have been shot dead immediately. What about you, Paulie? Paulie has got his on currently. He's scared of being shot on the car. thank you, Annette. You say you do like the colour of my jacket. That's very kind. I quite like it too. I'm not sure I like it in the bush, but I certainly like it. It's apparently a trail running jacket, so that if you fall over a cliff or something and are helplessly lying at the bottom in the rain, you'll be waterproof and visible to those who want to come and rescue you, assuming you're of sufficient worth to anybody to come and be rescued. I assumed that I might be, so I brought the red one. I might be quite wrong. Haven't tested it out. Not a lot of mammal activity going on as the weather closes in. Everything heading for a little bit of what passes for shelter out here. Not much in the way of bird life. Certainly the flies remain enthusiastic, as do the mosquitoes in my room. And the stink bugs. All right, let's go back to the sausages and let's find out from them if the new male is in fact one of their own or a complete stranger.
Okay, we're still here. This big male is busy trying to get as much as possible. You might wonder how much they can eat in one sitting. It is been known to be around 40 kilograms, which is around 80 pounds of meat in one sitting. This guy, I saw him feeding yesterday morning for a little bit. Then yesterday evening, my colleague David came here and saw him feeding. And this morning again, since I arrived here, he has been on it. He's been feeding for the last since I arrived here about maybe 45 minutes. He's been feeding. Yeah. They do try and gorge themselves as much as possible when it is time of plenty, and in lean times, they accumulate lots of fat. So in lean times, they will be able to go for more than 10 days without eating. And in this case, this guy knows that he's got an injury and he has to utilize this skill as much as possible, and that's why he's gorging himself as much as possible. You can't tell that the females are not making too much movement, and the main reason is they have to be submissive when there is a male, because usually they're not very welcome. There are lots of flies there. They're not because of the lions, it's because of the carcass. The carcass is starting to smell and flies are being attracted to it. These guys also are utilizing the last piece of it. Oh, he has to change position and now he's facing us. Remember, this is a coalition of two males. We call them the Oldonyo Pike males. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Yeah. And they have a very big territory. James, you asked me if that young man is originally from this pride. I've never seen him, so I would say I'm not sure. I have to refer to my colleagues if they've seen a female with that male. I've never seen him. He doesn't belong here. I've never seen him myself, and that's why he wasn't welcome. You saw how fast he got chased. In case you're just joining us now, this is all live and it's happening in Masai Mara. This is the Sausage Tree Pride, which has got two males. We call them the Oldonyo Pike males, and 5 females led by a female we call Kinky Tail. I just saw her earlier on, and she's somewhere with 3 of the older cubs behind me. But here I'm still with these 3 females and 1 male, and they are busy utilizing the last bits of this carcass that they made about maybe 70 hours ago. There is still a little bit of it, and that's what they are feeding on. Remember to engage me as much as possible. This is all live, and you're on SafariLive. You can engage me on #SafariLive, or you can watch me on YouTube live stream. This is coming to you live, and it's happening now. Yvette, you asked me how much longer you think they'll feed. I think it is over today. Once it gets too hot, and that's why they're trying to utilize this cool weather this morning. Once it warms up, they will leave this carcass. The longer they won't be here, they will leave. So because you can tell it's getting a bit smelly, there are much more flies today than yesterday. And actually you can tell even by looking, there is not much left. So I think when it warms up, they don't like being out in the open. They will proceed on and find somewhere with there's shade and water, and they'll digest whatever they've been eating. And they can go without eating for about 5-6 days comfortably. But after 4 days, because most females are producing males for the young ones, they will look for something else. This pride of lions specializes in hunting buffalo. They are masters of bringing down buffalo. I've never seen another pride that I've got the courage being this number, 5 of them females, but to go for buffaloes. They always go for buffalo. I don't think I've ever seen them going for anything else myself. I've seen always, they go for buffalo, and it's amazing. It's an animal that very few animals or predators out here will, think of going. You will think twice of going for, but these lionesses do go for buffalo. You can tell that this guy is full of appetite. It's like he just started eating. Look at that. So greedy. I think. Yeah. Well, he still, he's got a limping leg, but he still wants everything for himself. Megan, in this case over here, you can't tell that he is licking it, and then once he's licked it, he pushes whatever he's licked using his upper mouth to push it out of the tongue. I think he's trying to clean it because it's full of grass and dirt. That's what he's doing. But sometimes they also line it. It's too hard, it's too dry. They'll line it with their saliva, so it's smoother and easier to chew on, and that's what they do. That's why they lick it. You can tell that one female has been chased off, and she has decided that she's gonna go around. You can tell how she's got her ears back, tail down, being very submissive, trying to sneak in. Although she was part of the females that made the kill, the male will try and dominate. You can tell they cannot feed from the same side, and when they're feeding, their ears are down. They're trying to lie low to show that they're not feeding, because if they get too active, he might think they're eating too much and he will chase them. Super. Sasha, you asked me how old is this kill? Maybe you're just joining us. Welcome. This kill was made about 70 hours ago. Yesterday morning it was here, so it was made the previous evening. So it was about 70 hours. It's going to it's quite old now, and they've been here feeding since then. We saw them yesterday morning, yesterday evening, and this morning, and I think after this they'll be leaving the carcass because there's not much and it's starting to smell. So Sasha, yes, it's quite old, the kill. You can tell that the female to the left, she has given up, and now she just have to rest there. Yeah, that's a lion life. It can get very aggressive in lions' dining table. They're actually quite aggressive when feeding. Okay, while this guy get busy on the dining, I'll take you to Ali, who's got Scuba Steve. I wonder what Steve is up to.
Well, of course Scuba Steve would go underwater as soon as we come to him. It's got to remain true to his nature and true to his name. Now, if you're just catching us now, oh, there you go, Scuba Steve is a hippo. Or at least it's the nickname that we've given to one of the hippos that seems to enjoy living at Buffelshoek Dam. Our search for Tlalamba hasn't been all that productive. We haven't even come across tracks. We checked that last spot where Tristan had her yesterday, and it's quite a thick block, lots of long grass and little patches, little thickets where she could be hiding. So we carried on coming from Goripan all the way to Buffelshoek Dam to at least hope to see something. And luckily the hippos are being friendly today. I do envy them a little. It's almost like, it's that type of weather where you just want to stay at home. So what they've been doing is putting up their heads and then putting it back down, almost like getting their heads in and out of the covers. So they'll have a look and they're like, no, too cold, my ears are getting cold, and poof, they go all the way back down and then they come all the way back up. Are you not sure? This is perhaps one of my favorite views of hippos, when they just look at you just from above the water level, and then they decide that it's just not that interesting, and then they go all the way back down. Look at when it goes down, it's going to close its ears to prevent the water from going in. Shaking the water out of the ears. You see the ears moving. You can definitely pick up on all the different noises that are around the dam. Are you going to go back down? Are you going to show us how you close your ears? No, maybe you're not. Just making it difficult. It's starting to get a little bit windier. You can see it from all the waves in the water. Oop, and we've got a flap that, well, at least it's... Sorry guys, just one of the flaps decided to come down, so I'm just going to quickly pull it all the way back up. There we go. Hopefully that'll be the last of it. Seems like the wind is now contributing to us. But it's quite a peaceful scene to watch it. Oh, my earpiece just came out. It's quite a peaceful scene to watch the two hippos in the water. And like I said, I think they've got the good spot today. Don't really have to worry about too much. Oh, water in the nose, spraying out. I envy you guys. I wish I could be in the water like that all day. Paula, yes, the hippos have specialized eye membranes so that they can open their eyes and see underneath the water. The water's become such a big part of their adaptations and how they live that, well, as you see, they close their nostrils and their ears when they go down into the water to prevent the water from getting in there. But now he's above the water, so he doesn't really have to worry too much about it. And then when he goes down, he'll be able to see what's underneath the water, being attacked by the flaps all throughout. Alrighty, if you see those patches, you can hear the winds all of a sudden picked up quite a lot. I'm not too sure what's going on, but it is making even the hippos a little bit uneasy. All of it. I wonder if we're gonna get a lot of rain today. It's nice though. It's that nice soft rain that we need just to make sure that the water sinks in nicely into the ground and then new grass is produced, new seeds. And well, the hippos are perhaps one of the fewer animals that won't look as grumpy today. And as we like to say, this would be perfect weather for hippos. If they don't like it, they do like this. They go all the way back down. They could even come out and then start moving around, start feeding later on in the day. So for them, it's actually quite an ideal situation. Little Tlalamba, on the other hand, if she is around, she'll likely be tucked under a bush somewhere or even on a tree just to try and not get wet. Although she seems to enjoy water for whatever reason more than some of the other cats. Like, I mean, we've seen her with her tail in the water, putting her paws in the water as well. So I think she'll perhaps be a little more tolerant. But in this weather, I would also go somewhere and then just tuck myself into a bowl and then just hide away. If I didn't have, of course, this car tent thing that we've got on top of us, wouldn't be as easy for them. Megan, you're wondering if the hippo is related to the whale. I think very distantly related, perhaps a common ancestor. I'm not too sure, actually. I do know that elephants come from a common ancestor with whales, but knowledge fails me as to if hippos do. I wouldn't be surprised if they did in some sort of very, very distant relationship. What we do know is that they've land animals that have have evolved to have an aquatic existence. So it's part of the reason also why their skin has become so sensitive, and it's just why they dehydrate so quickly outside of the water, because they have evolved in a way that the water is their safety place. So while they're in there, very little or actually nothing will get to them. Perhaps the only thing a little hippo needs to worry about is a crocodile. And that's about it. Nothing else will get them where in the water. So because they spend so much time in the water, then they've adapted to produce this substance, almost this oily substance that protects their skin not only from the bacteria that you can find in the water, but from any and it helps with the healing process. That's because of the hippos are not, you know, the friendliest of animals. I don't know if friendly is a good word, but they're very aggressive and they're very rough in their approaches with one another. Even mothers with little ones, yes, they can be quite sweet, but they also have a very strong way that where they assert certain things, and they tend to use their teeth, which are quite sharp. This is part of the reason why you always see so many scars on the hippos. So the substances, the oils that they produce, actually help heal those wounds and then prevent from any bacteria that's in the water to actually get to them. Guys, what a life. I always say that if I could come back, I would be a hippo. I mean, if reincarnation is real. Here's a call of the woodland kingfishers all around. I'm sure they're quite happy with all this rain. But everything else, it seems to be a little bit quiet. We even bumped into some elephants earlier on. And they were quite skittish, I would say. I think they didn't quite enjoy the fact that it was raining and they were tucking themselves into the bushes. Sorry, Maria, I didn't catch the name for the question. But no, as far as I know, in this water there are no leeches. I've never heard of anyone having found any of them around. Love snacks. But I also haven't found anyone that's been brave enough to go down and immerse themselves in the dams and the Sabi sand to find that out. So perhaps there are some studies around there, but I'm not too sure. I've never heard of them being around here. But I could say it could be just the fact that nobody's actually really been brave enough to go into the water infested with hippos and crocodiles. You guys look very sweet. It's not too much of a bad life down there, is it? Now, in terms of general associations, we could potentially think that this is the one on the left-hand side is a male and the other one is a younger male. Or perhaps even a female. It's very difficult to tell male and female hippos apart just by looking at the size of their heads, because in terms of physiology, they look pretty much the same, just the males tend to be slightly bigger than the females. But we do know that as per their social structures, that the males are the ones that you often find by themselves in a dam, and then they are tolerant of younger males coming into their area and just hanging around there, as long as they don't exhibit any dominance, any attempts to dominate or assert their dominance on the other male. And of course, as long as there are no females that are in estrus and there's no sneaky business that is attempted by the younger or non-territorial male, then the territorial male tends to be fairly tolerant of them. What you guys up to? Only half of you out. Are you going to come out for a bite? That would be quite nice to see the hippo outside of the water. Maybe not. We're going to stick around here a little bit longer and then see if they do come out, or we'll also potentially go look for Tlalambe again. But while we do that, it seems like Isaac has got a tiny fluffy thing.
Yes, I have left the dining table. It got a little bit smelly and I had to leave. We might go back there, but there's also the other side of this pride, which is the cubs and the females. And here we have found one of the females. She's been down. I don't know who she is, but when she gets up, I will be able to identify her. Remember, we do have 4 females in this pride. It is called the Sausage Tree Pride. It is one of the prides that we've been following quite a bit, and we know quite a bit about all of them. There is a female that just recently gave birth. We haven't seen the cubs. She's called Kinky Tail. And if this is her, it's going to be very exciting, because maybe she just had a drink of water and then she might lead us towards the new bundle of joy. They are about maybe heading to around 3 weeks now, since she gave birth. So, you know, she might be the day. But this is all happening right here in the beautiful Masai Mara. Remember, this is Safari Live, and you can engage me on hashtag SafariLive, or you can watch me on YouTube anytime. Wow, look at her. She looks quite big. You know, panting because of all that buffalo buffet she's had. You know, they lack sweat glands on their skin, so all excess heat is lost through the mouth. So can you imagine digesting all that raw red meat plus heat? It can lead to exhaustion, so that's why she's panting this fast. And they don't love water. They don't like water like tigers do. Otherwise she would be inside the water. Paula, yes, it's all the good good works of Archie, my cameraman this morning. We have very good cameraman in our crew, and he's doing the great job of giving you that beautiful picture. Yeah, you can tell she's got no worries. She's panting away the buffalo that she's been feeding on. That is one of the older cubs. They're heading to around 6 months. Very healthy. I think they're going to be the future buffalo hunters. Look at him. He's a young male. You can tell he's starting to get that scruffy mane. He's also enjoying the morning sun. It's nice and hot now. When you've been sitting in the sun for the last maybe 1 hour since the sun came up, it can get warm, and these guys are still enjoying it. Once it gets too hot, they don't like the sun. Lions will go into the bushes to hide away from the sun. Betty, you asked me if I've seen Scar lately. No, I haven't seen Scar. Scar resides on the other side of the river, and it's quite a distance for us to get there every day. But I haven't seen him. I've heard a few, things about him. He's still on the other side, but I haven't seen him. I haven't been there, and I haven't seen him. Over here, we have enough lions, and so we don't go across very much. But very soon, I'll be headed down there. Now that you've been asking about him, I'll go there and try find him for you. I don't know what that guy is doing. It looks like he's got an itch on his lower leg, so that's why he's leaking, trying to get rid of that itch. Yeah, the grass is so high over here. We actually had a difficulty finding them because it was very, very thick. That's one of the females. Which one is it? Is it Limpy? Let me see. Oh, she's calling. Can you hear that low roar? Yeah. They also do have the soft side lions, unlike the ones we saw earlier on fighting. They have the soft side, where they, bond by licking and playing, and that was the case with this female. We have one that's called Limpy, and she's got a slight limp that never goes away. Now, this is not Limpy. It's not. It's one of the females that doesn't have cubs. Yeah, look at that sight. So beautiful. When she calls like the way she was calling, other lionesses might come to join her and the cubs. And I was hoping for that, but they have decided to be by themselves. Remember, these are real wild cats. Although we do follow them and know them, some of them by names, by age, they are still very wild, and I could never get out of the vehicle, because if I went out of the vehicle, I will be a threat. And most animals, they won't flee when you have broken that safety distance. They'll come for you, and I don't want to be on the receiving end. I don't want to be on their menu. Yes. Melissa, you asked me if they would welcome lions that broke away. I would think the females won't, but the males might, because the females, once they've broken away, they might decide that they don't longer belong to them. But the males might want more females, so the males might welcome them, but the females not. You can tell that she's not walking long distances. She's still, I think, deciding on which direction she wants to go, because maybe she wants the ones feeding to come join her, and also maybe the other females to join her also, so they can decide which direction to go. And I'm going to sit with them as long as I can. Yeah, they're going to go right, in front of a vehicle that just joined me. So I'm going to try and give you a better view where there's no vehicle, so we can see them. This vehicle just joined me about maybe 20 minutes ago. They are behind here somewhere. They are hiding behind this bush here. Remember, I was telling you about these lions. They are very wild. They are very wild. If you got out, you have no chance. You will die. And so Nico, yes, they are very difficult to find lions in this long grass. If we didn't know where they were, it would be very difficult. I was here 2 days in a row before we found them with a kill, and I couldn't see anything. And so it is very difficult. Just to give you an example of how difficult it can be, I'm just going to stop here, and Archie, my cameraman, is going to point out to these two, and you'll see how difficult it is even to pick them. Just look at that from a distance, and then when he zooms in with a strong lens, that's when you start picking up that there is something. But when you look in that picture, you'd think there's nothing. That's how difficult it is. You have to know what you're looking for, and where to look, and that's how you see how they blend in. It's a ladies' time. I don't know what they're discussing. Those are two sisters, the older ones. I think one of them is Kinky Tail. David, you asked me, where are Kinky Tail's cubs? Same as you. At least I have an idea. I don't know. They're somewhere. Kinky Tail is right here. I would say she's the one to the right of these two, the ones you can see on the screen. That is Kinky Tail. And hopefully, maybe she's going to decide to walk towards, where the cubs are. And I'm going to stick to her. And maybe if you stay and, we're lucky, we might be the first ones to see Kinky Tail's cubs. So Kinky Tail is here, but I don't know where the cubs are. It doesn't mean that, we won't see them in the next few weeks. We will definitely pick them because we know they are around here somewhere. Yeah. So I'm gonna reposition once more and see, and so we can see, so we can try and see them a little bit. So I'm gonna try and reposition a little bit. Yeah. See if we can give you a better view without disrupting, exactly what they're doing. I don't know. Yeah, there they are. You can only see their heads over there. And the cubs are also there. Diane, you say at what age the cubs are introduced to the pride? Well, the books that I've read in my guiding years and in guiding college, it says that they get introduced to the pride at the age of 2 months. Well, somehow, according to my experience, I think they can be introduced any time, because Mitty's cubs, I saw them when they were 1 month old, and they were ready with the rest of the pride. And up to date, which is they're about 6 weeks, 7 weeks now. They are still with the pride. We saw them yesterday, but they are not eating meat, so they are not over 2 months. That tells me they are not over 2 months, because At 2 months is when they start eating the solid food. So they're still less than 2 months, but they have been introduced to the rest of the pride. And I do believe that, we write a lot about these animals, but they have their own way of doing their own things. And that is the case with this pride. It's very surprising that actually even the older cubs that are about 5.5, 6 months old are already joining the rest of the pride in hunting. Oh, that's Limpy, the mother of the 2 older cubs. You see that? That Limp has been there forever. She's the mother of those cubs following. That's Limpy. Excellent. It's really nice to see her. It doesn't affect her. I've seen her joining in hunts, and she's one of the best hunters we have. It's really cool, for her to go right in front of the vehicle. Yeah. Hello, Limpy. You decided to have a pee in front of my vehicle? That's fine. I don't mind. Yeah. Look at that. So beautiful. Yeah, she's very healthy, very fat. Look at her. One of the best buffalo hunters I've ever seen. Yeah. This pride specializes in buffalo hunts. And it's always amazing to see them going for, buffalo. Yeah. So it means the ones left here, I think it's Kinky Tail. And I'm looking forward, to seeing her walk, maybe lead me towards where the cubs are. Yeah, those ones are following their mom. 2 of those cubs are Limpy's cubs. And one of the cubs is younger, belongs to one of the females we left at the kill. Okay, while these guys wander, let's link you to Ale in Greater Kruger, who's got some tracks.
Usually Tlalamba's tracks, that's what we really would like to have found. And there was a squirrel alarming not too far, so I think she's in the same block where Tristan had her yesterday, but we haven't been able to spot her just yet or come across any of her tracks. We do have, though, some very interesting tracks on the side of the road for everyone to be able to have a look at. And then I know we've been having Track It Tuesdays for quite a while, and although today is not a Tuesday and it's a Thursday, I think, this could still very well be part of the challenge. So if you guys have a clue or an idea as to what track this might be, you are more than welcome to send it using the hashtag SafariLive, and then we'll be able to let you guys know if you were correct or incorrect. Now, a few things to note about the track. Let me grab a stalk of grass. Sorry. Can you get this one here? I think perhaps is the clearest one of them all. Now, we've got, just for everyone to notice, and again, if you do know, just send us hashtag SafariLive on Twitter and just let us know what you think it is, and perhaps we'll reveal it a little bit later. But you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got here the claw marks, so it's an animal that walks with the claw marks outside. Obviously, back foot a little bit smaller than front foot, and then we've got one lobe here, another one lobe here, and then another one here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. Walking all the way in that direction. I don't think, unfortunately, that we're going to be able to find this little creature. I think it's long gone, because it's one of the animals that, well, I'm going to say medium to small animals that we get around here, but very beautiful. So who knows, maybe even tracking Tlalamba will be able to find it. And then this little creature has moved all the way here, tuk, 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 and then carried on, and then made a sharp turn and bushes. If you guys know what it is, hashtag SafariLive. Right. Whew. We're going to, I need to find the earpiece so that I can plug myself in. Perfect. And we're gonna carry on looking for you, Tlalamba. I'm sure you're somewhere around here. Dash Dash, not quite a hyena. It's a little bit too small for a hyena, and the hyenas don't have that extra lobe underneath those 2 that I showed you. So it's something that doesn't only have the 2 lobes that you see. I can see why you would say hyena, because it does have those 2 lobes. If it were a cat, it would have 3. And then it seems like this little creature has come all the way here and then carried on all the way there. Righty. I'm gonna leave you guys in suspense, see if anybody can work it out. Oh, we've got a little creature here. Gator mongoose, not quite, but getting there. It's something more along the size of a big mongoose. Sort of. Now, do you see that little thing that coiled itself there? Oh, I've just parked you in the worst spot possible. Now it's... Polar African wildcat, not quite, because it doesn't have the 3 lobes at the back. It would almost look, an African wildcat's track would look almost like the one of a leopard, more likely. It would have 3 lobes at the back. Now this beautiful creature over here is one of our little insects that comes around and starts moving in the summertime. We tend to see them quite a lot at this time of the year, often crossing the roads, and it is of course the wonderful millipede, also known as the shongololo in some areas, which is a word that I love saying because it's just very funny. Now, although they look quite menacing, they're actually just feed on vegetation. And I think this one over here is just looking either for food or perhaps for shelter. If I were you, I would be looking for shelter in this cold day. But although the name millipede suggests that they have 1,000 feet, and we can see them all moving right there, it's actually quite funny. They don't have 1,000 feet. They have about, I think the latest one that I read is about 177 segments that they use. So not quite 1,000, but lots and lots of legs. And they're easy to spot. I mean, at least this particular one, because it's all of a color black, and then the legs are of a bright reddish color. And when they feel threatened, like we saw it earlier, or just as a way to preventing themselves from getting eaten by anything, they tend to roll themselves up into like a little tight ball or a coil, and then with the legs and the softest parts in the middle. It seems like James has got something that might go away, so let's head over to him before it flies.
Hello everybody, we are back on track with some go-away birds which are now going away. Now the go-away bird, of course, is the least fancied of the turacos. It is the most drab, least colourful member. And even in East Africa you get a number of go-away birds. You get 3 of them actually. And you get the white-bellied, the bare-faced and the grey. We only get the grey here. And I'll show you some of the others if you like after you've watched this one. That said, I think they have quite an appealing look to them. They always look slightly surprised by what's going on around them. I think it's got to do with that crest. Yes, I know. They'll be quite happy at this time of the year because they are, by choice, frugivores, but not always able to eat fruit because there isn't always fruit. Paula, you want to know why they're so pale? I don't... Oh, what's going on there? A bit of feeding. So that's obviously a youngster. That's really cool. Look how fast they grow. So that one's obviously born this year, and now its parent is vomiting into its mouth, which is an unfortunate way to have to eat, but that's the way it is. That's really cool. Paula, I don't think they are pale. They're just a grey colour. I'm not sure that they're pale at all. I think they're quite dark, actually. Isn't that amazing? Now, what the mum has probably produced for the little one there is not, in fact, fruit. It looks like they are little shoots. So they'll also eat shoots that come off trees before they turn into twigs or leaves. And that's what the little one is taken, regurgitated by its mother. quote Jack Hanna, the only time I ever met him, I ain't never seen that before. Donald, they're called go-away birds because they say the following. Go away! Go away! Go away! Which apparently means, or sounds like, somebody saying, go away, go away, go away. Now, let's see if Mum goes off and finds some more food. She's landed up. I've seen her land in a tree way off behind a bush. I suppose now that I look at this one, I can tell that this one is a juvenile. No, Sarah, they are not parrots. They are not closely related to parrots as far as I remember. They're not too far away, I suppose. I'll just quickly load my other app. Parrot. The only parrot we get here, of course, is the brown-headed parrot. Most obvious feature, not in fact the brown head, but the bright green back. But they're not too distantly related to the taracos, but not very closely. The taracos are generally a very colourful group. They include the go-away birds, but they also include the Livingstons and the Rosses, the purple-crested and the Neisner luri or taraco, which are beautiful shades of red and green and gold, as opposed to the colour of a thick Scotch mist. Let's give the parent another minute to come back, because that would be quite fun. So Dash, I hope we've managed to clear up the relationship between taracos and parrots for you too. Not much in the way of sound, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I think that's got to do with the lack of sun. So the way we can tell that this is a juvenile is that it is a little bit scruffy. You can see that its feathers aren't quite smooth. In fact, it seems to be pulling its own feathers out. Maybe it's having some sort of teenage crisis. It's also a little bit smaller than the adult when you look carefully. And it's also slightly fluffier. So it's carrying quite a lot more down than the adult. I just want to wait for a few more seconds to see if the adult doesn't come back and continue with the feeding. Alrighty, let's actually head back to Ali, who I believe is going to reveal the answer to her quiz.
Well, seems like a couple of people had it straight on. It was the track for a honey badger. Easy to tell, it looks very, very similar as a track of a porcupine. However, that diagnostic little thing at the back, that's where you start looking for either a porcupine or a honey badger track, and then it wasn't as broke down in as many lobes as the porcupine. So whoever said honey badger track, well done, brownie points for you. Now we are looking for two tortoises that are walking here, and I don't know if they were having a bit of a fight or if they're trying to mate, and it's just tricky because the grass is very long, so I don't know if you can see the grass moving here, okay? It seems like it's the morning of the little things rather than the bigger things, and I'm actually also just wanting to stop to listen, just in case we can hear any animals that can spot La Lamba, like a squirrel, and they'll give it away. Ooh, seems like now they've stopped moving. So it's two Specs hinchback tortoises that have been moving around here, and the one was chasing the other one. So it could be for two reasons. It could be males chasing one another, because I think there was a third tortoise involved earlier on, or it could be a male just trying to make an approach to mate a female, but they've become virtually invisible right now. Cannot see them anymore. Hello, guys? Okay, maybe not. I think they've gone now. Or, well, they haven't gone anywhere, but we can't really see them. And I don't want to get out of the car and then disturb them, because that's just going to make them go and duck themselves in. I can't see them anymore. Okay, well, I promise you there were absolutely 3 tortoises walking around there. Can you see it? Yeah, I don't see them anymore. Let me just maybe stand up. Nope. Ah, they're all the way at the back. Rummet, I'm not too sure what is the oldest known tortoise in South Africa. I do know that they can, in general, on average, the tortoises around here can live until they're quite old, like most tortoises around the world. But I do not know if there's a record for the oldest tortoise living in South Africa. I do know that there are some. There's a record for the one that used to live in the Galapagos Island. If I'm not mistaken, that was about 100 to 150. That was the record of that particular very, I don't remember the name of the species, that very big tortoise that you see in the Galapagos. Maybe it's the Galapagos tortoise, even the name. But I'm not aware of there being a record of a specimen kept in South Africa. I want to see if maybe we can find some more of these tracks that might point into the direction where this honey badger was going into. Nope, these are not honey badger or leopard tracks. I'm so sure Tlalamba is somewhere around here, but it's tricky. I mean, we couldn't even see a tortoise. Just imagine that again with a leopard. It's not as easy, but we're gonna do a loop around the whole block again. Maybe now that it's getting a little bit warmer and that it actually stopped raining, she'll go to Guaripan for a bit of a drink, or she'll become a little bit more playful and it'll be easier to see her. And then we'll try heading back into the block once more, just have another scratch around, see what's there. For now though, we thought it was a good idea to come and just check the cut line, see if there were any tracks of her coming into this way and possibly crossing into Torchwood, but it doesn't seem that's the way. And we also didn't see any tracks going up to Buffelshoek Dam, so it pretty much means that she's, or hopefully it means that she is somewhere in the middle of that block, unless we find tracks heading somewhere else. What are these tracks? Nope. So we'll keep an eye out. Maybe she's there. It would be the best if she were sitting on top of a termite mound or on top of a tree. Firefly, it could be that Tingana and Hosanna had somewhat of an altercation, although it wouldn't be my first guess, just because Tingana has been so tolerant of Tingana himself. That Tingana has been so tolerant of Hosanna himself all this time. It is, however, a normal process with leopards, where the young male leopards leave their natal territory and then they move further away to look for another area. So I think Hosanna was here for as long as he did. I mean, especially if you compare him to Tamba, who's been long gone. And they are roughly the same age, with Hosanna being a little bit older. But Hosanna just stuck along because of Tingana's pretty much, acceptability of him. He wasn't too bothered, and he was very tolerant of Hosanna being around. And, well, of course, except there was a kill, in which case Tingana was very happy to steal it either from Thandi or from Hosanna. It could be just, you know, something at an instinct or more base level in Hosanna's nature that is telling him it's time to go away. And it could also be that he's just gonna go down there, try his luck for a little while, see how it goes down there, because it's also uncharted territory for him, so many new things to learn and to look out for. Not here. So it could be a range of many things. I'm not inclined to think that Tingana was actively chased him, but not sure. Oh, before I carry on bubbling about, it seems like there's some action happening up in the Mara.
Well, things are very, very confusing here for me, and I think also for my cameraman Achi. What is happening here is we have more females in the sausage tree pride than normal, and the males are actually trying. See that? That male is really going for that female. Yeah. Okay, let me. Raua. See? That male. Things are not the same. Things are not usual. Something is really, really different today. I don't know what's going on. I'm actually confused. There's more females than normal, and these females are going for that female, and also the males are going for that female. We saw earlier on where the male went for the younger male. So actually, I am lost until I find out exactly which females are these ones, because all the sausage prides are here. I think the winos have invaded here, because the females are actually not going for the females, but the males are going for the females. So I don't know what is going on. It's very, very confusing right now. See, the male is still heading towards that female. I don't know if she's gotten close to her, but you can tell. Yeah, he's still going. Looks like she's somebody who found out that they had a kill and she was too hungry and she decided to have maybe a bit of the share of the kill, but she's not welcome by the males. The females are very welcoming, because I could tell that the females were not really going for that female, but the male was going for her 100%. Yeah. Yeah, the male is still going. Yeah. I don't know if she's gotten close to her. You can tell this is the Oldonyo Pike male, the one with the bad leg. And he's still going, you know. Things are very different this morning, because we found out that, you know, when we came here, that two Oldonyo Pike males were here, and she's running now. I don't know what she's going for. She's a long ways from us, and I don't know what she sees. Okay, let's try and get there. Hold on, just hold on there. I'm gonna try and get you there. A bit rocky here. Oops. Looks like she's not welcome at all, and that's why they're chasing her. She's not part of their pride, so they have to try and get her out of their territory, and this is what they're doing right now. They're trying to get rid of her as much as possible, and you can tell that they actually have chased her off the kill, but they're following her to make sure she's out of the territory. Typical lion behavior. You know, you think that they will live in harmony because there is for everybody, but they don't, you know, believe in that. They believe that nobody should be, you know, in their territory. It's getting hot and warm, but I can't stop. I can't remove my jacket yet, because I really want to catch up what is happening. Never too late. Are you asking they can kill that lioness? Yes, they would kill her. If she decided to stick her ground, they will kill her. I'm hoping not, because we need enough lions. But there are lions, and what they think is best is killing their fellow lions. There he is. I can see him. Gonna try and get close to her. To him, sorry. He's roaring. I hope he goes on top of that mound. Yeah, he is. He has gone on top of the mound. We can see him really well now. And I can see there's a lioness walking to the left. Over there, there's another. There he is. Yeah, from here you can see him really well. There he is, down there, the big male. And then The rest of the lionesses are scattered everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, there he is. He's gone down. He's still going for that young male. And lioness. Things are very different today with the Sausage Tree Pride, where, you know, we have 4 more females. Yes, there is also, apart from the lions and, you know, the other animals, we do have birds. We do have, you know, small birds everywhere. This male lion is still going. I think she's still going for that female. He might get interested and lure the female into this pride. It does happen sometimes, and these females will accept the females because they were part of them. The Owinos were part of the Sausage Tree Pride. Carol, I doubt if they are nomadic because there's 3 and 1 male we have seen so far. If there's more than 1 male, then I would say there are nomadic 2 young males and 3 lionesses. But at the moment we have seen 1 young male and 3 lionesses, which I think are the Owinos, which they're about 4 of them. Yeah, I see all the lionesses and the youngsters headed in that direction where the male is heading. And so we're gonna stick around here and see exactly what's happening. There's the young male. He's still very shaken from those few slaps he was given by the big male earlier on. But you can tell his ears are very focused this side, and maybe he's trying to listen to hear if there's more males, you know, feeding, so he can maybe have a chance to go and have a meal. Also down there at a distance, it's another female. She's walking in the long grass. Oh, there's another male. Huh. So that's the second male of the Oldonyo Payek males. So we have counted for 2 males and 5 lionesses of the Sausage Tree Pride, and then there is some extra females. I don't know from where. Look at that majestic pose. Yeah. With that termite mound, he can have a good vantage point. You know, see who's around. He's still going for that female lioness. And I think, you know, by the body posture tells me that the lioness is not very far. Sometimes the lionesses would try and break away, but when they reach a certain distance, they'll stop. Oh, here comes another lioness from right to left. It's all happening here. Lots of action. This is one of the females that was feeding earlier. Remember, this is all live. For how long they will pursue the lioness? I didn't hear the name who asked, you know, the question. Yes, they can go quite away to try and get the females. Sometimes, you know, males like this will even dominate 2 different types of sets of females. So if they decide that they feel comfortable with the males, they might stick around on one corner of the territory. So they might go for them even for a day or 2. They can follow them, trying to make them, you know, to start a new pride. Here is another lioness right in front of me on top of our termite mound. It's right down there. I don't know where she just appeared from. They're all over this grass. This is a place you don't want to be walking. Otherwise, you'd be walking, you know, and you'll be on the menu. Yeah, I don't know if that other female is going to come onto that termite mound. Let's wait and see. Looks like she's headed there to the termite mound. Yeah, she's coming. Shortly, she'll be on the termite mound. There we go. Are you going to go up or are you going to go behind? She's going to go behind, unfortunately. That one didn't know exactly what I wanted her to do. So we might have to rehearse again. Yeah, she's gone past. I would say the lionesses are related, but the young male, now I think he's from the Owino pride, and he's right here to my left. Archie is he just picked him out in the long grass. It's all happening here. It's rather, I would say, it's crazy morning here. I think he has learned that the males have left and he's coming back. Those few slaps that he got from the males hasn't deterred him from going to the kill. And so now he's going to the kill, and I think we're going to stick to him with him for a little bit and see if he's going to have a bit of that left, a bit left of the carcass. The left. Yes, he's gonna go right behind the vehicle. Yeah. Well, it's all happening here. It's so interesting, you know. I have so many lines. I'm confused exactly, you know, on what to say. No. The Owinos are very good hunters. They are very good hunters. It's only that in their territory, most of the game that they go for has left. And maybe because there are only 3, there's no those animals that they go directly for. They do go also for buffalo, but I haven't seen any buffalo there. And I think during the night, while they were getting closer towards the sausage tree pride, they heard the commotion of the sausage tree pride feeding. And so they decided to take a look, not knowing that the rest of the sausage tree pride was still feeding. And maybe the females were very welcomed by the other females, but the males were not very welcoming, as you saw. And the young guy was trying to inch in, and he got chased off earlier on, but now he's headed towards the carcass. And so we're gonna try and go there and find out if he's gonna be welcome, because he's right here to my right, and he's headed to the carcass. So I'm gonna try and head there and see if the rest of the females are gonna welcome him, you know, to feed. I hope they do so, because he's looking very desperate. I think I would get crushed also if I was very hungry and I knew my neighbors were having a party and a barbecue. Don't mind the embarrassment. Trish, you are doing the same as me, because I think what I'll try and make you understand is that the 2 sausage tree males are here, the Old Payak males. The 5 lionesses from the sausage tree pride are here, but we do have an extra 3 lionesses and 1 young male. I don't know from which pride. I am thinking it's the Owinos. We saw them yesterday in the morning hunting, but they were quite a distance that way. I think they have made it all the way here. I'm going back to the carcass, and if they are there, I will be able to identify them and I will tell you. But definitely, we have more lionesses that we normally have in the sausage tree pride. It's a bit rocky here, so I have to concentrate a little bit. Otherwise, I'll be pushing the vehicle in front of the lions, which is not a very good idea, because I don't want to be on their menu. It is definitely rather a very different morning today, because we have more lionesses than usual. I can smell the carcass. Looks Diane, if the Payak males return, they will chase the young male away. 100%, because he's coming. He's somewhere up here. I can see him. He's over there. And now I can see 1 lioness. There is another lioness still feeding. They will chase him away. Woo, it's smelly. Oh, interesting. I'm here now. And it's gotten even more interesting. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but anything is possible. Well, guys, things have gotten even more confusing. I have another young male here feeding. We didn't see him. We didn't leave him here. I don't know where he has appeared from. This is a young male. He's feeding. Remember, we just left the other one in the long grass. I just came here and found out that this young male is feeding. I don't know where he's come from. So now I'm actually even more mixed up a little bit because now they... Yeah, Paula, you say it's a lion soap opera. It is. It is, actually. Now there is another male. Well, I haven't seen the Owinos with two young males. Now, this tells me it might not be the Owinos. It might be another pride that we don't know that has just pushed itself in here, because that is a male, and definitely there was 3 females feeding here earlier on. I don't know where they've gone. Those belong to the Sausage Tree Pride, and there's another male we have left to the right. I hope he appears so we can have a picture. I can have a picture of them together. Yes, this is gonna give me a very, very long day to go and study these guys and exactly understand who is who. It is very confusing morning. But this is what I'm here for, to try and pick up who these guys are. Where have they come from? Yeah, you can't tell definitely that this is not a member of the Sausage Tree Pride, because they are still feeding. You know, if they could have been here, if they were members of this pride, they could have been feeding like yesterday. But you know, you can tell this guy just moved in and he's trying to get the scraps. There's not much left, but he's trying to get that. But you can tell also he's very wary. He's looking around. He knows that he's not very welcome by the males. Sorry, you can hear the noises. There's a vehicle that is trying to get out, leave this area. Well, I am hoping that the other male is gonna appear. Diane, you ask, you know, is there a reason why Kinky Tail hasn't introduced the cubs? Yes, I would still say they're still very young, and there's no need maybe for her to rush. She's very experienced, so there's no rush. They're still too young, I think. They're about 3 weeks only. She disappeared off 3 weeks, then we saw her a week later, and then she has disappeared again. And I've seen her this morning, but she didn't have the young cubs. So definitely, I think they're still very young, Diane. Do not you worry. Stick around with us and we'll be able to show them to you. Yeah. Well, you know, a vehicle is going to go through, so you're going to have a picture breakup. Yeah. 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 It's going to go through shortly, and then we're going to go back to the kill. The kid is not going anywhere, and yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's gone past, and let's take you back to the lion. You can tell that he's not very comfortable. He's very wary, you know. he doesn't know when the lions are gonna come back. But you know, according to me, from knowing how far they've walked, I don't think they're gonna come back. So, hey guy, you can enjoy that bit. Because these are two young males that we have seen, we haven't seen them together, and 3 lionesses, I would still say this could be part of this pride that broke away also. Maybe the pride was too big, because the lionesses were not fighting off the lionesses, but the males were fighting them. So it could be part of this pride that I don't know. And they're usually not very far, and that's why they've moved back here to try and get a bit of this carcass. From where I'm parked, I cannot see any other. I can only see this guy. But once we turn around, we might be able to spot the rest. We can't see any from here. But they are somewhere. They're not very far. I tell you, they're all scattered, very different from how we normally find them, all happy in one spot. Today they are very scattered, and it was very nice to see all these from the beginning. When we arrived here, they were all feeding. Then one young male appeared. He got chased away by 2 males. Then the one male came back. Then the females were feeding. Then, you know, we went back to the cubs. It's all been happening. Got a little bit confusing, but I'm getting myself together now, understanding exactly what's happening. We're still staking this kill here because there was that young male that got chased away earlier, and we just saw him headed this direction, and so I'm hoping that he's gonna appear and maybe they're going to feed together, because I think this is a brother of the other one. By the size of the male, it looks like they're the same age. So I am hoping that he's gonna appear and they're gonna feed together, and it's going to be even better because we're going to have a picture of them together. Then when I go back to camp, I will be able to look at our database and maybe try and identify who they are and who they are related to. So it is much more clear to me also. Remember, this is all live. It's happening right here in Masai Mara. This is a carcass that was made by the Sausage Tree Pride about 1.5 days ago. And it's still being fed on by lions. There's one vulture on the tree that is waiting for his chance. There were some jackals. I haven't seen any hyena. And actually, I would not be here if I was a hyena or a jackal, because there are too many lions and lionesses scattered everywhere in the bushes. So I'll try and actually be away from here, because if you come here as a lone hyena, you might be signing your own death. Charlotte, I don't want to imagine. You asked me how I imagine how a lion's breath would. I don't think I would like to imagine. I think it's nasty. It's the worst smell. You can imagine us, not having to brush for a few days, and we only eat vegetables. Them, they eat meat, they don't brush. You can imagine. I think it's gross, and I don't want to imagine. Because if you imagine, you might have to end up being on the lion's teeth. Yeah. It is rare to find a lion eating a carcass which is as old as this, full of flies, and it's very smelly. Every time the wind changes, I get a whiff of it, and it's not the most pleasant smell. But I've smelled it before, so sometimes I can be able to hold my breath. I'm glad I haven't had my breakfast, otherwise I would have lost it long time. And so this guy is still trying to get the few bits of meat that are left on this carcass, and maybe it will take him to the next meal. Well, lions are known to be opportunists sometimes, where if they cannot find their own kill, if they come across an old carcass or even a hyena or a leopard with a kill, they try and chase it off the kill and get it. So they're called opportunists. And in this case, it is, I have proved it that, they are opportunists. This guy wasn't here, he didn't make the kill. He wasn't there yesterday morning, yesterday evening, but this morning he has forced himself, to this kill. And he's trying to get as much as possible. This is a buffalo. It was a very big buffalo. And when we got here yesterday morning, they were Hyena, you ask if these young males could be a threat to the young cubs. Yes, if the males were not there, but actually they are not ready to breed. And in that case, they will not be welcome anyhow, or even if they're not ready, the males will not welcome them, and also the females will not welcome them also. So they are not a threat in any way. If they were much older, maybe another 1 year, because right now they look like 3 years. If they were another year, they would be so big, intimidating to the females and males, and so they would be a threat. But in this case, no, they are not a threat. He's trying to get in as much as possible. We're still staking this point, hoping that the other young male will appear. He's not very far. He's in the grass to my right somewhere. And I'm sure he's trying to decide if to come now or wait. He doesn't know if all the lionesses and lions have left, because the carcass is surrounded by lots of grass. You only would know if there's somebody when you get about 10 meters. So he's still not quite sure. So he's still sticking out, from a distance, hoping that, he will learn that everybody has left. I wish I could send him a text and tell him, move in, because he would be so happy to have his brother dining and himself give him much more confidence in eating the last bits that are left here. But I don't speak lion, and there's no way to communicate, so I'll have to let nature take its course for him to come when he's ready. Well, I mean like this, that might not look like much, but maybe it will take these young guys to the next big meal, which nobody knows exactly when it's gonna come. They might end up following these females, the society pride again, and hopefully maybe when they make a kill, the males won't be there, so they will be able to force themselves in. It does happen that way. When females make a kill and the lions, the main males are not there, the young guys like this will force themselves because they're big enough, almost the size of females, and so the females will, give in and give them a chance to feed. Yeah, I'm going to try and change position, and while I do that, let me link you to my colleague, James, who's got, I don't know what he's got, maybe, let's find out.
We are trying desperately to find something worth putting on camera so that Isaac can have a break from what must be a fairly burning throat at this stage of the game. We've got some Wahlberg's Eagles, but because of the roof, I basically have to park on a slope in order to get them on screen. David? There'll now be a bush almost inevitably. Here we go. How's that? Can you get them? Yeah? Sorry about the pole, everybody. You know how it goes. Now, here is our couple. Mrs. Wahlberg, the home breaker on the left and her lover on the right. Look at him. Look how smug he looks. Yes. Clean your ruffled feathers, you foul fellow. Those of you who don't know, Mr. and Mrs. Wahlberg used to come back here every year to the same nest. They were both like the pale form one on the left-hand side there. And then this year, Mrs. Wahlberg arrived back with a new lover. Clearly her junior. You can see him. He looks like a smug millennial type. Her husband tossed to the curb, as it were. Obviously, I don't know that that's true. It's quite possible that Mr. Wahlberg died during the course of their migration, or when they were just south of the Sahara for the course of the Southern Hemisphere summer. Winter, sorry, Southern Hemisphere summer, Northern Hemisphere summer. That's where they hang out. And she came back this year to the same home in which she and her husband had shared for many years. And she brought this fellow back. Much like last year, they don't appear to have raised a chick. Please excuse the shaking of the camera. Between Corley and David in the back, there seems to be a severe case of consumption, a bit of a plague going on there. Was it Corley, was it? Ishak, you say the bird is disgusting, she's cheating on her husband. Well, I mean, that's the story I've told. I think you'll probably find that he died. So she's had to move on, practically. Makes evolutionary sense, of course. And I can just hear underneath this fellow the alarming of a squirrel. Ray K, yes, that is correct. The lady might be described as a cougar. I, of course, don't actually know how old they are. I think this guy's quite young. I think he's probably only a second-year eagle, second or third-year eagle. I don't know that for sure. Look at the hoopoo that's just landed there. That's very cool. I don't know that for sure. I'm assuming, and I'm also not 100% sure that the pale form one is the female from the pair. So I might be being extremely unfair, and it is quite possible that the male was the pale form, and this is his new young lady. But I don't think so, because the pale form is slightly bigger than this chap, and that's normally the case, that with the eagles, the female is bigger than the male. So they do normally pair for life, but I think, you know, a lot of these things where we say, oh, romantically, we say sort of aspiring after such lofty morals, they pair for life. We talk about swans and how they die of a broken heart if their partner shuffles off this mortal coil, or how geese manage to create themselves pair bonds for life. And we look at these things and aspire to them as human beings, of course, because we see them as noble in our own species. But I think a lot of the time, when we talk about these sort of pair bonds, if you like, they last for as long as it's practical for them to last. If one of the couple becomes unable to breed or dies, they move on pretty quickly. That's not to say that there isn't perhaps a period of sadness in some respects, but they move on pretty quickly. Right, I think we should probably press on from the Wahlberg's eagle. We sent Claudy off the vehicle because he was dying of a coughing fit. He seems not to have died, though, so here he comes. What have you got there, Claudy? Say it loudly so that the ambient microphone can hear you.
It smells like mint.
And what is its name?
Due to its smell, I think it's a wild mint.
It's an ossimum species.
Mm.
Very nice. Okay, good. Well done. Get on the car. It's warming up a bit. The rain has stopped. I might have to take off my rather unbushy rain jacket, so that I don't look like I'm on some sort of, I don't know really, clown safari. It's really fun. See that? Oh dear. You know that feeling when you're driving along, taking your jersey off, and you get your arms locked behind you as you're careening towards the barrier? Well, that's just the feeling I had. There's an impala up ahead there, David. That's the second mammal we found today. It is, of course, a repeat of the first mammal we found today. One, however, is taking it easy or has become so depressed that it's decided it can no longer go on. Good morning. It's not even chewing. It is just depressed. Are you depressed? Yes? David, what was that noise you just made there?
Not sure.
Yeah, James, that's a very good question. You're saying you're wondering why our Wahlbergs don't seem to have much success. I'm assuming you are referring to the fact that they haven't managed to raise a chick this year or last. I don't know. I mean, it's unusual for them because otherwise the skies would be full of Wahlbergs. This is some fighting Franklin action. Having a box, eh? The spur fowls are spurring each other with their spurs. Let me just check here if we don't have a statistic for how successfully they're able to raise chicks. I don't mean the impala. Impala don't normally raise chicks. Right, Wahlberg's eagle. Identification, distribution, population and demography. 4 to 6 pairs per 100 square kilometres, so they're quite common. Longevity, at least 14 years. That's quite fun to know. Annual adult survival is 75 to 83%. But that's a sample of 4 birds, so that's a completely ridiculous statistic. Let's just quickly go to their breeding. Monogamous, territorial, yes, we know all this. Courtship, nest, eggs, incubation. Does not, oh, here we go, I think. Size, no. 38% of pairs relay 9 to 25 days after egg loss. They don't relay their eggs if the chick is lost. I'm just checking here. And somebody asking about the sounds of birds in the background. Anything I can hear is some paper turkey ducks. That's a laughing dove, which is not what I can hear. Here we go. Breeding success. Single brooded. 2 records of broods of 2 young. Overall, 73% of pairs breed each year. So only 73% will breed each year. 56% of attempts are successful. Production, 0.41 young per breeding pair per year. That's quite interesting. So 53% or 0.41 young per breeding pair per year. So you would expect them to be able to raise a youngster every 2 years. So they have been unlucky. But I suppose in this particular case there was the loss of a long-term partner. On we go. Where did our impala go? There's medication for your problem. James, wondering if the weather's going to be around wild dogs. No, I think the weather is probably the same where all of the wild dog packs that we see. I don't think it's going to bring them back here necessarily. Certainly if the number of prey species they might like to eat that I've seen is anything to go by. Elephant. Ah, goodness. Same elephant that's been hanging around us for the last few days. He's a lovely fellow with one very relaxed young fellow. Let's just go around the corner here. In fact, let's just do this. Are you ready, David? Are you holding on tight? All are you holding on? Yes, no, I'm not parked in a terrific position. That's all right. Right, so here we have our elephant Bool. And he's been lurking around our clearings outside camp for the last little while, eating marulas. Okay, we're going to leave this elephant. Well, I'll try and get into a better position with him, actually, while you go across to Ali and Nyala.
Whew. Well, this is only the second or the third living. We were actually super excited when we first saw them. Seems like it's been a tough morning for James and I out here in Juma. It has been very chilly, so that will make the animals do exactly this two bull nyalas are doing, just go into the thickets. But I think the Mara has come into the party, and by the sounds of it, Isaac has had one fantastic sighting in terms of interaction and lions and different lions coming in. And well, I think he's done a wonderful job from the updates that we've been getting of how explaining the different scenarios and who's who and what's happening. Now, for us, it's been, like I said, a bit of a quiet morning. It seems like the sun might eventually shine today, and that might be promising for the afternoon, as I'm sure as it gets warmer, more and more creatures, besides the nyala that we've got walking around here that have now walked into the thicker part of the bush, will be starting to walk around. We carried on trying to find Lalamba, but unfortunately, I think we're going to have to wait again for the day to become a little bit warmer for her to come to one of the pans. Unfortunately, I couldn't see any tracks, and we drove around in circles. We drove in where Tristan left her yesterday. We couldn't hear that squirrel alarm calling again. So my guess is that she is somewhere up there, but where exactly, very hard to tell. As you saw now with the nyala, the grass is very long, and all she has to do is lie down, or even, lie with her head up, and then if she's at the right angle, we won't be able to see her. So we'll try again definitely this afternoon. Hopefully she'll be around there. Well, her or pretty much any other cat or any other living creature. I'm not going to complain for anything. Right, let's see if maybe the nyala have gone into a spot where we can see them again. They are, I think, one of my favorite antelope. They are just such stunning creatures, and the females with their reddish coat are also so beautiful. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if we can see them from here, but I think, as luck would have it, our only animals that we've seen have gone into the drainage line, where it's going to be hard to spot them. Mika, you saw them? Okay. We're going to follow our nyala. Hopefully we'll be able to have another glimpse of them somewhere down here. Whew, Rusty, you're very squeaky this morning. All right, I can see them now. There we go. There's the big bull. I think maybe, is that good for you? If I go forward, there are going to be even more trees in the way. So I'm hoping that he's going to get his head out of the branches. But now you can see the black and those white stripes. So the main idea behind this design, this beautiful pattern that the nyala has, is to actually break its general body shape. So now that it's in there, and with a tight zoom that BK did, you can see that it almost looks like if we were to see it from a distance, perhaps a fallen over tree, perhaps the white is the light coming through the branches. You can see there. You can't really imagine if you were to see everything in shades of black and white, as most predators would do. Perhaps you wouldn't be able to see it. You would pick up the movement of the tail for sure, but very likely you wouldn't be able to see anything else. And even for us, sometimes when they stand out as much as they do, it's hard to tell them apart, because they blend so well with their general environment. Now it seems like this bull is approaching a little bit. He's just to our left, and I was sort of hoping that he was going to come down into the dry riverbed. I apologize about the pole. It's a little bit in the way, but if I move, I'm afraid that I'm going to scare him off. So I was sort of hoping that he was going to come down onto the riverbed. Very, very nice. Look at that. So you see the black and the white, just pretty, and even the white stripe on top of the nose, just a sign of that amazing camouflage that he's got. So a lot of the times, particularly for animals like the kuru, the nyala, that they live in areas that are a little bit more dense in terms of vegetation, their body pattern just allows them, even when they just stand still, to blend them in with their background, with the environment around there. So if there were something chasing them, he wouldn't be flapping his tail the way he is now. You can see that he's relaxed just because he's sweating away all the flies that are annoying him. But if something else were after it, then very likely it would just be very still in the middle there, and it would be very hard to try and spot it unless it started moving. So well done, Guy. I think it's been an interesting lesson in camouflage today. Look at that. You know, just his face is almost like a branch that is there. And it's easy what our eyes normally recognize when we're out in the bush looking for things. It's not necessarily the animal itself or the shape of the animal. We always seem to pick up on movement, something that moves, something that was not right, something that was not meant to be there. And that's normally when we stop and we're like, oh, there might be something there. Right, seems like our boy is gonna head onto the thicker vegetation, so we're gonna leave him, and then we're gonna go down the Molowati. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to find beautiful little things down there. I wonder where the other one went off to. I think maybe he went further into the thicket at the back. Alrighty. Are you gonna come this way? No? Perfect. I think we're going to leave you to your breakfast while we head down the road and then see what else we can find all the way down there. Alrighty. Bye-bye, Nyala. Thanks for being there. We appreciate it. It's been a dire morning. You should have seen when BK and I found them. We're like, yes! Nyala! We got very excited. Very, very excited because, as James mentioned earlier, it's been a little bit on the tough side this morning. But it's the weather, unfortunately. I know we always talk about it, but it just pretty much rules not only how many layers we wear, but what the animals do, where they go, and how they feel. So, there's the females there. Oh, well spotted, BK. I completely missed them. There's a massive big... Would that be good? More? There's 3 females. 4. See 4 sets of ears. Now, you're going to see how interesting the females are very different to the males in the sense that they still have those beautiful stripes, but they are of a reddish color. Beautiful. Ooh. They're all going away, hiding behind the bushes. Right, we're not going to push this Nyala. I also think that we're not going to be able to see them for too long, but we'll go back to James, who seems that at least he's found something quite big to talk about.
Elephant in the distance, there it is. There is the bottom of the elephant. It's now shaking its bottom for you, actually, giving you a bit of a wiggle. Same elephant, everybody. He's just walked into some thick bush on the banks of the Mati drainage system. And now his grey skin has disappeared into the bushes, as we are going to disappear home for breakfast. David had a cloth over the presenter light, which is why I looked like I was in the night time. Alrighty, for the last 3 seconds of the drive, we're going to hand you over to the Masai Mara, to Isaac and the lions.
Here we are. Well, I was anticipating for the other male to come here, but he's not here. but he's the only guy here now. He's got all the keel to himself, and he's a happy chap. Well, you know, on behalf of James, Ali, and all my fellow guides down in Kruger, my cameraman Archie, from me, Isaac, it's been a pleasure hosting you. See you again this afternoon on our afternoon game drive as we leave this guy to enjoy his rest of the meal. Bye-bye.